It's 7:01 on Thursday, February 5th, and I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. I have with me in the room from the Finance Committee, Gar Morse, Dean Hodges, Andy Olderman, Maury Creighton, Peter Twining, and myself, Sarah Melish. John Croft was not able to make it tonight. And also in the room is Ann Harrison from the Select Board, Town Administrator, Tony Barletta, and Finance Director Andrea Mainville, Cheryl, what's your last name? Marshall from Parks and Rec, Fire Chief McNeely from the Fire Department, and Captain Kavanaugh? Cavender, okay, from the Fire Department, and John Brown from the Select Board. I just wanted to start briefly with setting the table regarding where we are on the budget, okay? Before we start talking about fire department. So this last week, the school came in with a significantly different budget. And dropping our assessment, maybe 700,000, that we were looking at like 1.1 million increase, and now it's a 600,000 increase, so we don't have that 700,000 delta gap that we had in the budget. So things are looking better, and I asked Andrea to update the budget book, because we also have a drop in the school debt service, or whatever they call capital, of a drop of 54,000. So we're in much better shape than we were last week.
So how is the school in percentage to what we originally forecasted in the original January? Is it back to what it was?
About half.
So it's less than, okay, that's great.
Yeah, so, yeah,
We had 3.5% increase in the budget, and I think they're now 3
this is showing 3.43. And the reason is there's a difference between what you'll see in the school reports and what we have in our budget. The school reports show an increase, an increase in our assessment of 645. We have only 601, and that's because I believe last year we went to town meeting before they'd finalized their appropriation, and they decreased it some after we voted.
Yes.
So it's on our budget, it's a 601 increase, which is 3.43%. So,
Great.
am I correct on that?
Anytime we can keep it under 3.5 is a good year.
Boy, that's for sure.
And
That's an amazing piece of news.
Well, and what happened is so they dropped their health insurance from 20% to 14%, and they believe it may go lower because it's experience rated, and they've had good experience in the last couple of months. They are using some of their excess and deficiency, i.e. reserves. And they're decreasing their OPEB payment. Last year, they put in about 880,000 to their OPEB. What they've been doing on OPEB is increasing what they deposited at the rate of the increase in their insurance premiums. So this year, they're dropping it back to 300,000. Yeah,
And that is a substantial percentage lower than what they had projected.
and, they had 880 in there.
Thank you.
And then the circuit breaker, which is reimbursement from the state for out of district special ed placements, increased by 250,000. So it was a 500,000 decrease in OPEB, 150,000 decrease in the health insurance, and a 250,000 decrease in the circuit breaker. To reduce the total budget.
Did the circuit breaker go down or did it go up for the school? The contribution went up, so their debt went down, their need went down,
Right.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, when I said those three things went down, it was decreasing the budget.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, went up. Any questions on that? So then I asked Andrea to give me an estimate of the tax increase. And I'm still not clear on it. Because it's coming in at 2.2%. And so what I said to Andrea, how can it come in at 2.2% if we're increasing Prop 2.5 by 2.5, plus we have about 0.75% in excess levy capacity? And Andrea says it has something to do with a cap exclusion, which I still don't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
So
So even though we voted for the cap exclusion outside of the budget, it impacts the tax rate.
Right.
And so we decreased it.
at $410,000.
Okay.
So if we, anything less than 660,000, that's what we have to do as a capital exclusion to keep the tax rate the same, the increase. Yeah.
Right, but I think the theory behind, I thought the theory behind decreasing the capital exclusion was to offset the increase in debt service.
The debt service decreases.
Well,
No,
not
from
this year.
the
New borrowings.
new borrowing.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's why I'm still confused. So we don't have to resolve it tonight, but I think that's something we need to keep in mind.
Well, a little bit. That's why I wanted to go through I'm gonna do a debt projection and spreadsheet when we
Great.
get to the debt meeting,
Good,
so we know
exactly,
all
yeah.
of that, yes.
Because the theory was to decrease the capital cash exclusion as we increase the long-term debt.
Right.
And so I kind of expected the
right.
tax rate
To go
to
together.
be level, and it went down, so. Okay,
I think you also asked Andrea to adjust our number in our insurance as well.
Yes.
So she did.
that's right, right.
So we have that plugged in at the 14%,
Yes.
which again, we don't have our actual assessment yet, but that's the indication that we've received, just like the school. So when we get our actual
14 or
assessment,
15?
they said we're likely to be around the 14% range, so we reduced that 20% to 14%.
To 15, right?
Did you do 14 or 15?
I did 15.
15, so just in case it's 14
Got it.
point something.
And that preliminary indicator was pretty accurate last year as well, right, if I remember? Or did it?
Well, I think he expects more detailed information before we get through the budget season.
Yeah, hopefully mid-Feb, in the next couple weeks.
And if I'm reading this correctly, that's a decrease of 90-odd thousand from what we
Yes.
originally projected.
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions on that? Okay.
And just what that at the end of what, bottom line, what that turns out to be when we make all those adjustments, I think we're at 20-something thousand, what did you say,
26,000.
$26,000 that we haven't allocated yet. So we're actually on
We have
the
extra
other
money.
side. Yeah, we're
Yes.
actually on the
Okay,
other side.
that's what I thought, okay. 26,000 extra. Not extra, but.
Unspent.
We still don't have, as we talked about earlier, we don't have our trash number yet.
Right.
We do have a significant increase allocated in this budget for that. But that's still one of those big variable numbers that we don't know yet.
And hopefully we'll get it before the end of budget season.
Yes.
I had a thought on that, whether we should put some of the cost to the Parks and Rec and some to like the harbor for sanitation, for like the downtown stuff that's been increasing so much. But, you know, that might be a way to offset.
Well, let's talk about that
Yeah.
when we do DPW next
That's
week.
next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they'll have better information. Okay. So I believe that Chief McNeely sent us an email.
He did.
Looked at that, okay. So,
Let's see.
it's your floor, Chief.
That's just copies of what's gonna be on the screen, so you don't have to.
You
go
hold
in.
it.
On the screen.
Okay.
Sarah, can you approve?
Thank you, long night. Thank you. I guess something fancy like this must be good news or bad news?
Well, you can decide at the end.
You got it memorized?
Fires on page 45.
Then Andrea's numbers are on the back of that pamphlet as well that I handed out.
Oh, good. Okay. You have the screen up.
All right. So I just chatted with Sarah quickly today just to see what order we wanted to attack things in. So kind of the order we looked at is staffing, salaries, operating, and then capital. So the first thing, just so everyone has kind of an understanding of how it operates now, I think sometimes it gets confusing. So if you look at our current FY26 staffing, we run with, the full-time firefighters run with 4 groups. Each group works 2 24-hour shifts in an 8-day cycle, so they average 42 hours of work in an 8-day cycle. When we look at the 4 groups, our minimum manning is usually 1 below what is staffed. So if somebody's on vacation, somebody's out sick, we don't backfill, and that helps us curb our overtime, and basically we're able to absorb that with the staffing that we have. When we look at that, when we count in vacation time, personal time, and I took the worst case scenarios, when we did this, 66% of the time, we dropped from 4 people to 3 people, and that's taking an assumption that people take 2 sick days out over a course of a calendar year. So about 66%. With the SAFER grant, the SAFER grant includes, our match is 25%. So we pay for 1 full-time position, and the SAFER grant picks up the other 3. Bringing each group to 5 individuals, which would leave our minimum staffing at 4 firefighters per group. And then using the same calculation for our vacation, personal time, and then still staying with 2 sick days per person, 83% of the time would go from 5 people to 4 people. That's why they kind of explain why the thought of the 4 people is kind of the standard we're shooting for. There's a variety of different reasons. Questions on this chart as is, and then kind of the next one is explaining why the 4 is what we're striving for as our benchmark.
Right, yeah, so one of the big justifications for the SAFER grant was to replace 2 people anticipated to retire.
So it allows us to onboard. So for the SAFER grant, when we put in for the SAFER grant, we were at 16 FTEs. The SAFER grant requires us for the 3-year grant period to increase and maintain to 21 FTEs. So the performance period, which is an accounting nightmare, is from March 19th of 2026 to March 19th of 2029. So it doesn't fall in the calendar year. It also doesn't fall in the fiscal year. It's completely separate, which becomes a little problematic. So one of the things that we find in public safety, one is we have to find people who want to do the job still. and then we need to train them, onboard them, etc. We've been fortunate in the past. I think our well is starting to diminish a little bit with, we've been fortunate, but I think our well is diminishing a little bit with bringing in people that are trained firefighters and trained paramedics, so they literally hit the floor running. So there's going to be an onboarding time, which I'll talk about in a moment. So the goal is to kind of foreshadow that.
Right.
But then my goal as chief is during this pilot program time is to try added programs, benefits to the town, increase our collectibles, whether fire prevention, ambulance receipts, etc., in order to offset some of that cost, and then come back to you and do a big dog and pony show in a year and a half.
Chief, why do we think we've been so fortunate on the staffing?
I think when you look at the hiring in the fire service, the bigger cities use like a civil service list that used to be every 2 years. So when we did our hiring, we were in the off years when that list was already exhausted. So people that didn't get hired or weren't on that list were looking for somewhere else, and we were able to do that. Now they've changed that tune, and they do the civil service list every year. They've become a lot more savvy, and now we're marketing towards this area, because one of the things with our full-time firefighters is we're still a small department, and yes, we can argue numbers based upon, population, but when we have something, we need people that live close. So we have this demographic of, let's say, Cape Ann, we still need people to leave their house overnight to come in when we have multiple calls or something.
Where do we tend to draw from?
We have a lot like Magnolia. The call department is actually 2 from Gloucester, and the remaining are Manchester. And then the full-timers, we only have 1 full-timer that lives in town. The rest are Hamilton, Gloucester, kind of moving up towards the...
What's the zone you consider acceptable in terms of travel time to the...
So we don't, for the full-timers, we don't have it. For the call department, we use a 15 minutes from house to station, is what we use as a response time.
So does that include Beverly?
Yeah.
Typically?
Yeah.
Typically?
Yeah. So the next slide, just review the call department. We've been fortunate. We're down to 3 operationally ready firefighters. One's a medic, one's an EMT, and one is a first responder. And then we have 4 non-operational, means they really can't respond. We have one of the new call firefighters is in training now. He's going to graduate in the next 2 months, and then he's going to do some medical training. We have one of our firefighters is on maternity leave, and one firefighter doesn't have the time commitment to maintain the certifications necessary to do interior firefighting. So he's still a valuable member of our department. He's just not in an operational role. He's more of a support role. And then we have one on a leave of absence because they didn't have the time commitment either with personal life. So we're hoping that they're a town resident. We hope they return next year. So that's where we're at with our 7 call firefighters. And that number, I think, is a good number because it's a cost-benefit analysis you got to do by the time you train somebody, you give them personal protective equipment, that you need a return on investment. So I think 7 is a good number. So I'm hoping that some of those non-operational, return from maternity leave, the one that's in training will come back, and we'll kind of scale that operational back up.
What's your protocol for calling in call firefighters?
So we break our calls into what we call still alarms and all tones. So a still alarm is basically your average medical, residential fire alarm, outside odor of gas, something where the likelihood of something significant happens less. If the ambulance transports to the hospital, depending on how many people are working, we'll hire back to make sure that we can handle that second call. So contractually that has to be offered to full-timers first, and then it goes to call firefighters. It's almost a 50-50 split of who's available that comes back. And then the all tones are obviously a structure fire, car accident with entrapment. If it's multiple calls going on at the same time, anything in a commercial occupancy during business hours is an all tone. Smoke in the building, inside odor of gas. You just saw what happened up in Nashua just a few days ago. So those we consider are a higher likelihood to turn into something bigger, and that was an all tone. They come back for that.
Is it a annual stipend the firefighters get, and does like, when they're non-operational, does that affect?
So no, non-operational, they don't get, they get paid per hour they come
They
back.
come in?
Yeah. So they get a little bit more money between the hours of 10 PM and 7 AM, just because we're gonna entice them to get out
And
of
it's
bed.
mostly second jobs anyway?
Yes, yep. Yep. And so, you know, I kind of review why the 4 firefighters is kind of where we're trying to get 24/7. Is just, this is calendar year numbers from last year. Last year we had 238 occurrences of multiple calls going on at the same time. So that means we had crews tied up on one call and we had to respond to a second call. So having 4 firefighters on duty allows us to flex and cover 2 calls. Now, there was times when we had 3, 4, 5 calls going on. Obviously, we can't staff for that because the probability of that happening is a lot lower than our simultaneous calls. And then, you know, I analyze call volume by day of week, hour of day, trying to see, you know, do we have a area that's, we can have a increased staffing for a certain period of time. And what always comes back, and this has been steady over the 3 years, is about 60 to 65% of the time, our calls are between 4 PM and 8 AM or on the weekend, so off of normal business hours. So that's the other reason why we kind of maintain that staffing throughout.
These are the 2 charts on the third page?
Yep, bottom of the 3rd page. So the left one just says how many times you did simultaneous calls. The blue bar on the left is just 2 calls going on at the same time, then 3, and then
Over
4.
what unit of time?
So if we have 2 calls going on,
Yes.
so like if we call on the radio and say, we're clear, we're available, that call's done. We could still be on the road returning. It's we're actually on scene or on the way to the hospital, actively at an incident.
But these numbers are from calendar year 25.
Calendar year 25.
I'm sorry, I'm just missing something. So the incidence of having 2 simultaneous calls is just under 2.5. Isn't that over a unit of time? Is that a per day or per, I mean, that,
No, the total occurrences are 238.
Yeah, so don't look at the 2, it's 2, 3, or 4. There's nothing in the half. That's just the way the graph printed out. So
Number
the
of
big,
simultaneous calls.
Yeah.
2
2 a week.
at the same time, 3 at the same time, and 4 at the same time.
okay.
And just for reference, what's the overall call number?
this year we are at 1100, almost 1,200 calls.
Yep.
And those are 911 calls. So if you compare town to town, we gotta dive a little bit further because some people putting a car seat in as a call. I count, you call 911, that's a call. If we do a public safety service or inspection, we don't count that in that number. These are pure emergency calls for service.
So about 1/5 of your calls are involving 2 incidents simultaneously. 20%.
Manchester, and I've told this to Tony, it's crazy on, we'll go 20 hours without doing anything, we'll do 2 calls in a 15-minute period. I'm not sure if people see the lights, like, hey, it seems like a good time to call 911. It's very random and you can't predict it. You know, if you look at year to year, you can't see any charting or forecasting that you could do to.
Whenever I see the lights go by, I call.
Wouldn't the county dispatch send it to someone else if they knew you were out on a call?
So they would, but I don't want to speak for the townspeople.
Right, they specify.
Now, let's say we have a second ambulance call, and we don't have the staffing.
Right.
Our next town over is Essex that would come. If it's outside of hours, they have to leave their house, go to their station, get the ambulance, then drive here. So you have a reaction time problem. So we can call and, you know, we'll call anybody, they'll come. It's just what's an acceptable risk
Yeah,
if you were that second
right.
911.
I figured they'd do it right away.
Yeah.
and they knew.
And you say we call, but that goes through regional dispatch,
Yes.
correct? You don't
Yeah.
ever call direct.
No, regional dispatch will know, and we have protocols set up, so if we're tied up, they'll automatically, whether it's a fire incident or EMS, they say, okay, incident number 2, they can handle this, or they're on the second call, we get a call, Essex, Gloucester. I mean, that's all predefined, so it's seamless, there's no delay in the dispatch. The delay would be of where that unit's coming from, if it's coming from a staff station, or you have to wait for their on-call people, if available, to get to the station, to get the vehicle to come here.
And then is the third tier, the ambulance we sometimes see like on Pine Street or Southern Avenue, sometimes it's like Beauport.
Yeah,
or
so
somebody's
Beauport,
kinda
so
hanging there.
Beauport does the 911 for Hamilton, the entire town, like BLS, ALS, they're the ambulance. They also do Rockport. So when they're staging there, they're usually covering a large geographic area, and we just happen to be the middle of where they might have to go.
Got it.
And has the incidence of overlapping calls changed much over the years? I know you've only been here a short time.
So for my 3 years, it keeps going up. I would much rather have the same calls and like spread out. And it also is much more budget friendly to have it spread out. But the call volume has gone up, and therefore, the simultaneous calls.
And simultaneously, the incidence of overlapping has
Yeah.
gone up about the same speed.
And you don't ever tell dispatch, tell them to wait, we don't do overlapping calls.
Yeah. And the thing is too, you look at, you go back when I first started in the fire service and EMS, what was considered an emergency, the definition of emergency was somebody's arm was literally hanging off. Times have changed, people's definition of emergency has changed, so, like we train our staff is when we go out the door, it might not be an emergency in our eyes, but the person on the other end of the phone it is. And we don't know what they're calling 911 for, because we can go for a toe pain and it could be some type of, telephone tag that it's actually somebody unconscious. So we never know if it's gonna line up to what we're getting dispatched to what we actually find when we get there.
So, yeah, on the assistant fire chief,
Yep.
that's a slam because you deferred it from last year, and we appreciate you for doing that. But a lot of this, we've spent a lot of money in recent years to get to the 4 teams of 4 or 3.
Yep.
And that was the goal to achieve. The SAFER grant came on as, I justified it on 3 things. We had some retiring people, we're getting a second ambulance, and the office park is expanding up at the. If this is a tight budget year, and if these 3 conditions aren't really happening this year, would we be able to extend, defer the SAFER grant till next year? or
So we
down the road?
can't defer the SAFER grant, because basically what they would just say, it's like hitting the lottery and be like, oh, I don't want the money now, is.
Could we delay implementation,
No, well, so because like I was mentioned before, the performance period of the grant goes from March of 2026, I think it's the 19th or 15th is the actual, and then to March of 2029. So if it delays, we're just delaying.
we have to apply another year, basically?
Well, we can't go past that.
Right.
So we're basically losing money or leaving money on the table. And kind of and we'll get into the revenue side of things as well.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see some positive revenues coming already from what we're doing, and I think you're gonna see even more from some stuff that's planned that's gonna offset the town's costs, at least for year 1 and year 2 of that 25% of the savings. Okay, we're on the big page now. Okay, so salary changes. So I just highlighted kind of the numbers that are outside of the contractual obligations are down at the bottom right. So that SAFER position for the 25% is $61,856. The overtime, like I was saying when we were on board, so out of the people that we have conditional offers for the SAFER grant, 2 are plug and play, so we're able to hire 2 people that were certified firefighters and certified paramedics. The other 2 have their Fire 1-2, but they're in paramedic school, which starts in May, and that runs for a year. So what I did was I increased overtime because as they go to school, they'll get the school hours off. So if they're in school from, I'm just randomly pick, 6 to 10 at night, they'll be out of work from 6 to 10 at night, and then it's very hard to say, okay, is that usually we're not gonna have to backfill that, but if we do, if somebody's on a vacation already, do we have to backfill it? So that's kind of a forecasted number based upon backfilling.
So what happens when they're not in school?
They're working there, they can work as an
Okay.
EMT, we can utilize them in the force. So the way the state works the ambulance, it used to be you had to have 2 paramedics to be a paramedic truck. Now they allow on certain calls that you have 1 EMT and 1 paramedic, so we can utilize these individuals for the non-critically acute calls. And we will have a return on the investment
So have
as they
you,
get trained.
have you hired all 4 of those people under the same?
They all have a conditional offer.
Okay.
With background checks are in process and going through
And the conditions are background checks?
background checks, medical evaluations, and then the 2 that aren't in medical school, one of the conditional offers, they have to become a paramedic within 2 calendar years of appointments. Paramedic school is usually about a year and a half, and then certifications, if they take the test twice or something like that.
One question is, obviously the whole SAFER thing works well if you can find the staff to go in here. If you don't, then it's like, okay, you're plugging holes with OT. But do you have an issue with people coming to Manchester, getting trained and going other places? Or when they come here and go through the training, do they tend to stay? I know we've kind of wrestled with that years ago.
Yes to both.
Okay.
So we've been very fortunate to, I don't want to recruit, I'll say old, experienced firefighters who might want to come to a slightly slower environment that are already trained, which is a benefit to us because they have experience and they have the training. One of the things we're looking at is down the road is if we have somebody that's going through medic school, they're fronting the bill for medic school, be they've already applied, doing some type of education. Obviously, this has to negotiations and a lot more things above me, but basically give them a small incentive over the 5-year period that will reimburse them for paramedic school, so we get them to stay and kind of get ingrained in the community and the department. So that's one thing we do look at, because attrition is a huge cost to us, and that's one of the things with the SAFER grant as well. We're upstaffed. My goal is to run some pilot programs to increase revenue and try to prove to you that it's beneficial to keep it. But if not, we've used that as a mechanism to train people, onboard them, so we don't see those spikes in overtime that we've seen historically over the past 10 years.
To the folks, the firefighters that you would hire through the SAFER grant, those 3, is the one that the town has to hire. If, in year 2, you lose like 1 or 2 people because they want a more exciting environment, does that, are the SAFER hires, are they tagged?
They're not tagged to names, they're tagged to FTE numbers.
So you have to restore that total number, otherwise, do you lose the SAFER funding until you can get back to that number?
You don't lose the number, the percentages change based upon, we're still responsible for X% of amount spent, but we have to be showing due diligence in trying to fill that. So for instance, let's say we put out a job posting, no one applied for it, we put it out again, they're gonna come and say, well, it's not for a lack of trying, you're just not having any, as long as we're doing our due diligence, yeah.
Okay, so they won't yank the
If
funding.
you then lose the SAFER money that would have applied to the extended period for the hire. I'm back to Maury's question.
It would just be the period that we don't have the 4 as
Yes,
part of the grant.
exactly.
We lose whatever percentage
Applies in that period.
And our percentage then goes down, because we're paying 25% of the
We're
total
gonna pay 25% of whatever,
we receive.
yes.
So this may be more of an operational question,
Yes, it
not to
is.
interrupt, but if we're following Andy's logic and you've, for some reason, hopefully not lost 2 people,
Mhm.
and you're trying to hire 2 people back, would you be hitting overtime to keep that staff at the SAFER level, or would you back down on that a little bit until you could hire at least a 3rd person?
Yeah, so
And
that's.
I'm just kind of wondering if this, on one scenario, the OT can get kind of like.
So with time, the OT would become problematic if we lost 4. So losing 2, we can move people from group to group.
Okay.
So then the only time that OT is being triggered is if somebody's on vacation or out sick. So you basically, you have to, play roulette and see how many numbers people have played and put them in the right positions to optimize
So you're
the odds.
staffing to 3 if people are out?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question.
And
yeah, so you can move people around.
And do you have any experience predictable about the turnover rate?
It's
On an annual
slowed down,
basis?
it's slowed down tremendously. I think the environment, in relationship between the town and the fire department has improved. I think there's a lot of variables that have increased over the last few years.
Is that tell you I'm likely to lose a person in a year or,
So in the back of my mind, I have, we're gonna lose somebody every 2 to 3 years, is the number I have in the back of my head, whether, and some we know that are gonna go because they're gonna retire. And then I think, every 2 to 3, I think almost I'd be safe to say 4 years, we're gonna lose somebody.
so it
to-
gives you some element of mild predictability.
I wonder, like, if we could offer a bonus to some of our DPW workers if they're called firemen, just because if they all have second jobs, if they're in town, it just seems like there'd be a lot of synergy there.
So it used to be that way historically.
right,
The
right.
problem is, now that we're in OSHA state, the job requirements for being a qualified, it's almost on the police departments, with the police reform, it's kind of the same
We
thing
have
that.
to train them, obviously, but they'd be less less likely to walk if they also had another job in town. I don't know. It's hard, I know. when
No,
you're
it
doing
is.
but-
I mean, I look at all that. I'm very cognizant of, public safety is definitely not by any means a moneymaker. So I'm very cognizant of, the expenses and the risks and the benefits and the probabilities of how often does this really happen? None of the guys at the station like that. We're a fire department. We're an ambulance service that occasionally puts out a fire. I mean, that's what we are. Our call percentage split reflects that, and that's not just us, that's any department is, you have 70% on average is gonna be your EMS, if not more, of the call volume. And a lot of times, you take a car accident, that's a fire-related call, but also we're transporting people, so it gets lumped into that 70%.
And Chief, at the end of the SAFER.
Yep.
The town is picking up 75% of 3 positions or 4?
So when the SAFER grant ends in March of '29, basically the SAFER grant's done. What they used to do, the SAFER grant used to pay 100%, but then the town was obligated to maintain those FTEs for a certain period of time after that. What they did this time around was they decreased the federal government share, but they didn't handcuff you after that point in time.
I see.
So you were hiring 4 people?
3 now. 3 as of, yes, 4 now.
Okay.
Yeah, and 4 in process now. You'll see on the salary line item, you'll see the TA change the salary one, you'll see a change of 40,000. So what that is, we know we have our retirement coming up in basically a year from now, give or take a couple weeks. So that's one of the ones where we have to look at reaction time and what our staffing's like. So that's one where come October, November, we have to look at training. Are we gonna see a spike in overtime, or is that one that we're all set, we don't need to backfill? So that's why we left that as out, removed that, and then if we had a problem, that's why that 20,000 is in there for training and that little overtime bump, if that should occur.
Wow, what a management headache.
So,
This entire
Do I
system.
look tired?
so what happened, this is a bone with me.
Okay,
Assistant fire chief.
Yep.
That's an internal
Yep.
promotion.
Yep.
And now what happened to the position that person filled?
So that's one of the 4 that
It's
we're
one of the
filling.
4.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
That's why I
Okay.
said.
I knew that's, so the one that's in question is when we have that retirement, what we do, and we don't
Okay.
have it listed here,
Uh,
we'll have a,
That's why I said 3, but okay.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
But you didn't list the retirement,
The retirement is not on.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, what a system.
Question, do you have to maintain the staffing that you've got here through the whole SAFER program?
We have to maintain
21 people?
21 FTEs for the safer period of performance. So, yeah. Yep.
So retirement's happened before that, otherwise you gotta do something about that.
Yes. One of the SAFER grant was, it just happened this way. I wish I didn't plan it this way. The SAFER grant was put in for based upon numbers prior to the assistant chief being authorized at town meeting. So technically, for a couple month period, we'll be at 22, but then we'll drop to 21 because we're not backfilling the retirements as listed.
Mhm. You don't have to, because you still got the 21.
Correct.
How do you get, okay, so the 24 was in the 21, got it, okay.
Yes.
So, we have any more questions on the salary section?
Exhausting.
Try looking at numbers for, oh, you guys do this for a living.
Monitoring parts.
All right, operating's a little bit easier to explain. First thing, I'm just gonna go over the two changes, and then you see a whole bunch of plus and minuses column. I'm gonna explain that in slide number 2. So the major changes, one is an increase of 2,000 in radio maintenance, because the cost of radio and supplies is just like everything else in the world has gone up. So we went from 4,000 to 6,000. And then what I put in here, and we can discuss this as well, is one of the things that every 10 years we have to replace people's turnout gear. So instead of doing a large lump sum purchase every 10 years, I think it's more frugal and beneficial, especially when you look at turnover and things, to do 3 sets of gear per year, because now we have to start switching over to PFAS-free gear, which again, they show up in a bag and it's PFAS-free, and then we walk into a fire and there's no more PFAS-free. But that's, we can have that debate later.
And is that a requirement?
That's so basically come
Okay.
next year, you're not gonna be able to buy gear that's not PFAS-free.
Okay.
Come in a non-PFAS bag too.
Probably not.
At the moment, it's exposed to a fire,
So we have a gear extract, so they come PFAS free, but the minute we walk into a fire, we're covered in PFAS. We do have a washer and a dryer, but that's not gonna get 100% out.
So does that mean you have to replace it?
No, they haven't got that yet.
Okay.
And actually, it's not the building fires that are the PFAS, it's actually all the kitchen, like food on the stove, because you have all the pans that are putting off the rubber and the plastic. That's the more toxic than walking into a regular room.
Have we mitigated all the older, the foam stuff that's since long gone?
Yes.
So there's nothing residual around that?
No, everything that we have now has been rotated out. Yep. So I'm just going to switch to the next slide, because you see a whole bunch of plus and minuses on the column, and the next slide kind of explains the thought process behind them. Because we had fire station utilities account, but then we had natural gas, electricity, and the heat, which we like to, obviously separate out. So we just got rid of the fire station utilities. And we merged that with building repairs. Now, any huge building repairs comes under DPW, but we have a lot of handy firefighters that were able to do stuff without adding labor costs to it. So this allows us to go to the hardware store, get stuff to be able to fix stuff in-house. And then some of the custodial supplies we've merged with fire station maintenance. We just had so many line items and they weren't just lining up for accounting purposes. So I just listed out why we changed them, but the two increases were that PFAS-free gear line, and then the added $2,000 for the radio maintenance.
I don't see the gear line.
Oh, that's under,
Capital?
that's a new line, sorry. No,
It's the last line on the bottom.
Got it.
Yeah.
PFAS
Yeah.
free.
Mhm.
Yes.
I still don't see it. Where is it?
It's the last line on the,
This,
Oh, it's on, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
It is on that too, but it's on the last.
Yeah, I see it on, yes, I was on the wrong page.
So it would probably be good when we get in the facilities budget to note that 8,700 is already in the fire department for fire maintenance.
So that has been there, it's nothing new, that's been there historically.
this should be 40 grand a year.
Yeah. And this is just,
Okay.
and one of the other things that
We're
we're.
maintenance, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that we're in the process, we have a firefighter that's very mechanically inclined. So in the process of getting him, you have to be quote unquote certified to touch the trucks by regulation. So he's actually doing the certification, so we're hopefully gonna cut down on a lot of labor costs from bringing in outside vendors. And some of the small stuff we can do in-house, which will save some money, so.
I was just looking at that. Where in here is the maintenance of the, your vehicles and?
So it's just $30,000 maintenance line.
Okay, yep.
It's one,
So
two,
it's
three,
apparatus
it's the
maintenance.
sixth, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is the new 4,000 professional services related to the radio?
The 4,000 professional services, we moved out of some other accounts in order to be more transparent. So professional services is we bring in an assessment center to do like promotional exams. We have firefighters onboarding medical exams, so things like that didn't really fall into a category. So professional services, that's kind of a.
So like union things?
No, it's just any time that we need to hire somebody
It's
to
in
do it.
conjunction with hiring.
Okay, it's a training,
Hiring, promotions, that type of thing.
like the background searches and stuff you're doing now?
Thankfully, the police department's one. We have a great working relationship. They handle that for us. So.
You have a lot of changes here, but if you look at the bottom line, it's only 11,000 more. 9,000 of that is the PFAS-free gear. So it's while it looks like there's a ton of increases and decreases, actually not.
We're getting something added.
It's mostly shifting.
Hey, I'm just trying to streamline the process so it's clearer for somebody looking at the budget what the money's going for. Right.
And I'm sorry if you mentioned this, but how many pieces of gear is the 9,000 for?
That'll buy 3 sets of gear a year.
That's
Now, if somebody leaves, and
Hopefully
somebody else fits into that turnout gear,
Yes,
you
we
can
can
use
use it,
it?
yes.
Okay.
we can't measure somebody and say, well, we'll hire you versus you, but
Because you're
yes.
the right size.
Yeah.
You're looking for a 5 set and not a 7.
You're too tall.
Yeah. All right, revenues. In fiscal year '25, we had $285,000 in revenue. 270 of that was ambulance charges. The rest we just lump sum and just call it fire prevention services, permits, fees, inspections, etc. I'm expecting in fiscal year 26, our current fiscal year, our ambulance receivables by themselves will be $325,000. As well, we'll see an increase in the fire prevention fees because the select board back in September voted for a new fee schedule that went into effect October 1st. So I just don't have enough end numbers, if you will, to predict what those are going to be right now. But you're going to see an increase in that as well. The ambulance receivables increase is based on 2 things. One, call volume increase, and we switched billing companies. We were with the same billing company for 2+ decades, and this new billing company is a little bit more astute at looking at some of the smaller things, and is actually making a significant difference for us.
You can actually collect the outstanding bills.
Remember that the missing bills were running like 25%. I presume it's better now, or it's hopefully better.
Yeah, so, and they weren't setting, so this new company handles going to FFR, and I forget what that means. Basically, a collection process through the insurance companies. This company does it automatically. They have a set time frame, then it moves on. The other company, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger until you're like, why is this so big? And then it's too late to go back and kind of rectify it. So,
Chief, what are you projecting then for revenue in FY '27? What is your projection?
my projection is, I'm guessing we're going to be between 350 and 375 for the ambulance. And we said
27.
27.
Yes, fiscal
starting July 1st of 26.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to say 350 to 375 for the ambulance. And I don't have the numbers. I don't want to just spitball on the fire prevention side because there's a lot tied to that. You're going to see those increase because we have some big projects going on in town that are going to need permitting fees, inspection fees, and things like that.
And that's mostly because of higher fees, or is it more activity?
Both.
Well, you have the CST, right? Which
Well,
is-
that'll be on the fire prevention side, but I'm just saying 350 to 375 on the ambulance.
Yeah.
And that's because of more activity and better billing.
Okay.
what was the answer to the receivables that were still, that are outstanding?
So.
I see the
There's a-
325.
The whole process is like some write-offs and things like that, I'm not sure what the.
Yeah, we have a collection process, and so, you know, Jake and I get like monthly reports, and then anything that's old, we move over to a collection company, FFR, and then they follow up with the rest of the process. So our collection company, like, you know, or the billing company sends out some letters. If they don't get a response, then we say, you know, move it over to the collection agency, and then go from there to see if they can collect it. And if they can't, then we look at writing it off.
And are the receivables increasing or staying level or decreasing? What's happening with the size of receivables from year to year?
So they were increasing, so we just kind of cleaned up all the old stuff, really Jake did. And then we're going forward with this new company, and so we'll see what that looks like going forward.
What's
It's
the,
gonna hopefully
what's the
increase.
amount
Yes.
of receivables?
About,
So for receiver, just for the ambulance from July 1st to December 31st, is 149,000. But they took over in July for any ambulance trips from July, so the first 2 months, there's a 60-day lag. So this 150,000 is really, instead of 6 months, it's probably about a 4-month receivable.
And are those all delinquent?
No, those are checks actually in our bank.
And what percentage of that, of the 150, would be categorized as delinquent or sent to the collection?
So in that same 6-month period, we billed out $498,193. So $500,000 in the first 6 months, and we collected 150 in.
So 250,
And that's not just here, that's just because you have private insurances, you have Medicare, you have
Right.
Medicaid, there's so many different
but a
variables.
substantial part of our total, you know, billings are delinquent.
Yes.
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 Okay.
And so when you see ambulance billing reforms and stuff, all that is tied to
Sure. Yeah.
fixing that.
So you bill the same amount per
Yeah.
transport,
Yeah.
and then it depends on what the insurance companies are willing to pay.
And so if they don't get paid, we don't get paid.
Correct.
Okay.
Or if they pay, we bill them, just easy math, we bill them $1,000. They say, well, we're willing to pay $600. If it's a town resident, they usually get one bill, and then usually we don't go after town residents for the difference, because we figure that's part of your tax. You know, out of town residents, out of town people, we tend to, I think they're a little bit more pushy to get, but it's not in town residents we don't go after.
It is an interesting figure, though.
It is. It's mind-boggling when we look at the numbers.
Well, it's like typical medical care, that the bills that go to the insurance companies are much larger than what they actually pay.
And Andrea, you said we cleaned up. What does clean up mean? Right off?
yes.
Chase them or right
Yeah.
off.
Well, essentially, like, we switched companies. We took all of the old, companies' receivables and said, send them to the collection agency. So we've essentially written them off. We could still get money from them. But essentially, that's what we did. We just moved whatever balances that we were carrying over to the
And how
collection.
big was the number that we quote cleaned up?
Well,
Millions?
It was about $300,000.
$330, something like that.
Over what time period? Was that like 2
That
or
was
3 years?
So that could be for,
It was like 10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a-
So the money actually does flow in,
but very delayed.
yes.
So if we
Yeah.
understand this, like sort of Gar's question, you bill out like 400,000, we collect about 150,000, and then of the 150,000, some percentage doesn't pay. And that's what ultimately is considered delinquent.
Of the 400.
Of the
Of the
400.
some percentage
Yeah.
doesn't pay.
Yeah, the 150 is what.
He's already got the 150.
It's what you've gotten, okay.
We want to,
So I mean, from a billing point of view for insurance, if you know you're gonna get 68%, you push the number as high as you can, and then, of course, you say, well, that missing
So-
32% is delinquent, but it's really how you get the money we
There's all, so the industry standard, and I don't know how this became the industry standard, is Medicare plus 300%. So whatever Medicare's allowable payment is, we bill Medicare plus 300%. I don't know who, there's gonna be some mathematician
I
that
get
came up
my
with it.
Medicare statement, it's breathtaking. Amount billed, amount paid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Brutal.
And I don't know where that 300% came from. There's gotta be some algorithm somewhere that's, you know, a magic number. That's
So you never send residents into delinquency?
correct. They'll get one bill that says, your insurance company paid this, this is what's due. But after that, there's no like phone calls and,
That's weird. So only people
Okay.
who are responsible for their deaths have to pay.
that's just how it's been, that's just been the billing practice here for decades.
And
Do you
Andrew,
have a
when
number?
you put in the revenue numbers,
Oh,
what number do you use? I mean, given all of this mishigas, what do you do?
Actual collections, right?
Yeah, so that's the 270 that we received in 2025, it's
Yeah,
on the PowerPoint as well. That's what money we actually received in hand
It's payment.
as payment. Now, I also, on my balance sheet, I have a receivable for anything that we haven't collected yet. So
no,
I'm
I
still
was more
tracking
interested in
it
the
there.
first number,
Yeah.
but that's your 25. So when you're doing the revenue for 27, you're projecting the amount received. I'm
be
still not
higher.
clear, what number you're using?
So,
Expected collections.
Expected money in the bank, yeah.
yeah,
The
so
collection, so
the
that's
actual money in.
385, but that's from back in 25.
What? 25 was 270
Just for ambulance.
for ambulance.
The bottom number is 285.
I see it,
Yeah.
yes,
And he's
exactly.
expecting 325 to be actually paid in
For the
20 fiscal year
I
26.
see what you said.
Just for the
So
ambulance.
that's, you're divining a number out of much uncertainty.
Well, I think they're going off of prior year collections, right, when you do?
And
estimated
change with a new
Yes,
company.
Yeah,
yes, new
okay.
company. It's been,
So that's creating a ratio that you're using. Okay,
So if we took our collections that we actually get in cash and we compare it to the cost, I sound like a businessman here. and I apologize
No.
for this. We take our cash collections
Yep.
for this activity compared to our cost
right,
for providing
the service.
the activity. The difference is about $250,000.
Oh, much more than that.
More than that. More than that. And it's hard to, like, I also wanna break that down because I wanna say, okay, well, percentage of the firefighter's job, you can say, well, 70% is EMS, so 30% is fire. So you gotta take down what the job description is, because they're dual role, they're not single role.
Yeah.
So if you look at all it's actually interesting to do, like if you like the stuff like I do, but it does, when you get into the weeds like that, you wouldn't open up a business to do this.
No, I mean, and it is not, I in no way impugn the wonderful things that our fire services provide, which is spectacular. It's just the quandary of,
Yeah.
we're billing versus
The
the cost.
budget's 2.2 million.
Are the taxpayers funding?
It's about
That's part of
Government.
government, that's what
Right,
government does.
and things that will also change is we lose all the second ambulance calls when our ambulance is tied up. Somebody else is getting those collectibles, starting in July, we'll be getting those. So there are, and again, it's still not gonna offset the cost, not even close,
Right.
but it's gonna lessen the blow. So the hematoma's gonna be a little smaller.
So you really don't want to grow your ambulance service because that just makes it deeper
Well, no,
hole.
because he's not.
We're already there, we're not adding expenses,
I
we're just
understand that,
increasing
but-
revenue.
Someday
Except
we
for
may
the-
hear an argument about growing ambulance, but
Except
this
for
hole is
I-
pretty
cost
big,
of
pretty
the
deep.
ambulance.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at the point, unless we start seeing, 10 high rises downtown, and I don't, where we need to be now and for the future, we are very well set with where we're at. Unless something significantly happens, this is what Manchester needs, where we can handle stuff and,
I mean, Morse Gardens don't, garden apartments.
The towers?
Towers, that's the word I want, more towers.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't remember to ask the question.
So,
Wow.
How much of the uncollected is people in town?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I would have to get back to you.
And when do you stop counting them, since you're not going to send them out for collection?
That is, what's the time frame when it goes to, I think it's 90 days.
This is
They go
quarterly.
to, huh?
We usually look
Is it
at
quarterly? Maybe it's quarterly, it goes from receivables to FFR and then to
Okay,
write-off process.
I thought we weren't going to FFR and in town.
Well, so when I say FFR is like the reminder letter of,
Okay.
Yeah, like the like it comes out and it's like an FFR letter, but it's like write off or send to FFR. And so
Okay.
it's like two columns, that's why we say it's the
So-
same thing.
At what point do you write off the unpaid in town?
The 90 days.
quarterly.
Yes, quarterly.
Okay.
But it wasn't being done in a timely fashion, so that bucket kept getting really big. So now we're doing it streamlined, so
Good.
quarterly you'll see those fall off. Emergency management? Oh, sorry.
Are we ready to vote on the fire salary and expenses, since that's in one budget, to the total of $2,185,075?
So moved.
Is that the correct number?
Yep.
Any discussion? Take a vote. Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. Okay. Now we can go to emergency management, if I can find it in the book.
47.
Wow.
47.
47.
Just have to flip it over, huh?
Change, huh?
So in this budget, there's no change right now.
Yeah.
I have something that I'm gonna be bringing to your attention. But I've held it back, not knowing how the rest of the budget was gonna be, playing out. What we've solicited a quote for a professional service that would fall under emergency management, that in year one is a $15,000 price tag, but then annual cost per year is $2,500. What this service is it's coastal surveying. Over the past few years, FEMA has tightened their review process and evaluation process of what damage, property damage counts towards FEMA reimbursement. And they get very strict on being able to prove that the damage caused by a storm is specific to that storm. It wasn't something that a town neglected over time and then, waited for a storm to come to put in the claim to get funds to help pay for the rebuild, essentially. So what this service does is it actually does in year one, it creates a baseline survey of of the entire coastline, and specifically our town properties. And then on an annual basis, it'll fly the town properties only, and will show any type of loss or gain in what it'll calculate yards of sand. It'll show you changes to the dunes. It'll show you changes, to a seawall or anything like that. We also have the ability to call them in immediately following a storm to run that same analysis. So what that does is it gives you the data to basically put a claim before FEMA for damage recovery funds. That's it in a nutshell, basically.
And how much does this cost us?
So to create the baseline, which is the most amount of hours to do the entire coast, is 15,000. Then their annual fly of just the town properties is 2,500. So you have a big cost year one, but then it's, if you're only doing that 1 year update, it's cheap per year, 2,500.
And a claim, were it to happen, that would be denied, would be in the millions.
Yeah. I mean, in 20, was it 2015, the last big one? No, even
No,
more
even
recent
sooner.
than that. In 2020, 2021 maybe. I mean, I don't know how it worked out here, but in Nahant, we had like $3.4 million worth of damage. And that was I don't know if you've seen a lot of the news stories recently, but FEMA has tightened up their review process now. And essentially make it harder for you to qualify for those dollars.
So things like Ocean Street, stuff like that, where we're kind of vulnerable. Flooding, Masconomo Park, sewer treatment plant, stuff like that would be obviously very beneficial here. Is most of this damage shoreline, or do you have like tree falls and other stuff like that? And
This would be mostly
mostly coastal?
shoreline, yeah. So what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll basically fight with you over how much material was lost due to the storm. Or, I mean, if you don't have the ability to prove that it was from that storm,
Yeah.
you end up, really fighting for those funds.
Okay.
It's like
Now-
an insurance claim, basically.
But a lot of that material should have been gathered in our coastal resiliency study, no?
But if
There
it's
should-
not kept up every year, then you
There's
don't
a
know.
maintenance.
Right, it changes on an annual.
So there was a question from residents about the FEMA flood insurance. And because we were told that there was an award-winning coastal resiliency study. And that's supposed to give you a break on your rates, or if there's some kind of proactive mitigation. And they were wondering if, it's something that's very cumbersome on the individual level, but if the town can look at that to see if.
Yeah, that's kind of different from this. That's
Okay.
a community rating system.
Yeah,
There's a lot of administrative hours that go into that, so
Right.
cost up front.
it's crazy, yeah.
But it does, if you keep up with that, it can produce savings on flood insurance for all residents.
So that would
that's a
be a
little bit
big
different from
justification though, something like that.
Yeah.
We could save money.
Take me back for a second. The emergency management, what do we buy for that budget? What is it mostly administration? I'm not sure I know
Well,
what.
historically, it's been a little bit of a catch-all, depending on what the needs were of doing a risk analysis of emergency management. So sometimes it's supplies, it could be traffic cones, road barriers, things like that. 1 year we upfitted one of the side-by-sides to use on the beach and use during flood waters, things like that. So it's been used for salaries and it's also been used for items, so it's kind of a little bit of both, historically
Is it
anyway.
used for the alert system or that?
So we used it for the, I would say reverse 911, but it was not raised.
That was the
Code Red.
emergency.
Code Red,
Yeah.
Code Red. So that was Code Red as well. So
Is
it's
that
been,
the emergency notification that's a line item here?
yeah, so that's zero, because now that's covered under our agreement with regional dispatch. So
So-
they pick up that cost.
So I know you're introducing us to a further concept, but it's just a big basket, or a small basket actually, for just expenses that we incur in any aspect of an emergency.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's significantly underfunded. I think that, whether it be warming stations, a shelter, whether it be coastal damage or, flooding and recovery, staffing during those events, communication with the public, recording all your costs and timesheets, so you can include that in your damage claim, insurance claim, coordination with National Grid or the National Guard, all those things that occur in those storm events would fall under this budget. But those are also things that you may or may not incur in any given year.
And do other communities do that in some kind of mathematical way in terms of population, or is there something, is there an approach? I mean, this seems to be a bit of a number out of the air.
This is usually, I think most towns, this is one of those departments or budget items that gets left behind in most communities. But I think you're starting to see, with the increase in storms, with the tightening of the review process at the federal level, you're seeing towns start to focus a little bit more on this.
And how have they
So
focused?
maybe that's something we worry about for next year. I don't
Yeah.
think we can afford to
Well, I don't
increase
know.
this budget. I mean, that 15,000 makes sense, but to add more to this budget in this
Yeah,
fiscal year, I don't see that we've got the money in the budget to do that. Just
Well,
arbitrarily
I
to
think
increase
it's
it.
Your point is probably well taken, but just knowing what it is, I'm sure this has been an education to me about what it constitutes, whether it's properly funded or not.
we have,
Well, I mean, in some towns, it's a whole, emergency management's a whole department. Like you have an emergency manager, you have full-time salaries. I mean, so it all depends on the
Well,
risk of the town.
that's why I was wanting to ask you, how do you go about
We're
conceptualizing?
we're covering it in our other budgets now, the costs.
I-
We just don't have it separated out into emergency.
So for instance, I'll give you an
management.
example, kind of,
Is
for
that
this
true?
last snowstorm, right, so this last snowstorm, we had to upstaff because we had.
And you had that,
So that comes out of that will be an increase in our overtime budget, whereas if this was funded, I would submit and say, hey, we spent X amount for storm preparedness or storm response. That would get moved
I
from that
understand.
budget to my
but
budget,
it's Sarah's point that you're able to handle it in the regular budget.
usually, unless, depending on the event, whatever the event
And that's
is.
your argument.
Well, I think my
So-
argument is that there's not enough data in order, at this point in time,
Agree with you.
in order to create a whole separate emergency management budget.
And that's not what I'm proposing.
Mhm.
I don't care what year we look at this, but how do you look at it is what I'm asking. I mean, so you want to do it next year. What is it that we need to do over the next 12 months?
So I think the mechanism right now is, so for example, as the
Let's-
chief said, we overspend on overtime, the police might be overspending, whatever. We'll get toward the end of the year. Andrea says, well, we got 2 weeks left in the end of the year. We've got excess in this budget, excess in that budget. We move it around and we make it clean, hopefully, if it's not a huge number. And that's kind of how we hedge against putting it all in a basket that doesn't get spent and drops down to free cash. So it gets kind of reconciled at the end of the year if it's not too
It's so
big.
erratic, it's
I
crazy.
we could look back at payroll records for those storm events to get an idea. We had a lot of, we also had a lot of volunteers that worked under emergency management. We had a CERT team. There was a little bit different than staffing up on police and fire. It was more of like, kind of managing all the different information that was coming in from the residents, from police, from fire, from DPW, making sure that was distributed amongst those so that we were managing the storm properly, keeping track, entering that information into the Emergency Operations Center. If we need any help from MEMA or, like I said, National Grid or the National Guard, all that stuff, it was like you kind of really needed, and then pre-storm, we're usually meeting, a week out,
Let's
2
put
weeks.
this discussion off until outside of the budget cycle.
fine. I wasn't even going there this year anyways. So, yeah, but I'd like to.
Precursor
I
for
think-
future
But it's
I
something
do
we should put
think-
on our radar.
I
Yeah.
think so. And I
I have
think,
no problem putting it on the radar, I just don't wanna
Resiliency's gotta be-
try to solve
Yeah, but-
all of the potential future issues during this budget cycle, because I wanna
understand,
finish
but I don't
it.
wanna be sitting here a year from now saying, oh, we didn't collect the data, so we're still not
I-
sure.
I
Because I'm
just-
hearing a recommendation, let me finish. I'm hearing a recommendation that we ought to look at this from a different point of view, that's all. That's all I'm asking here.
and I'll be prepared, you know,
Okay.
to make a stronger argument
Fine.
for that next year. This year, I think, you know, I'd really like to get started with the baseline surveying. If it works out that we have the funds to be able to do that, I think it's important to get that. The more data you pull through that year per year prepares you for a potential disaster, you know, natural disaster in the future, so.
And I certainly would agree with that.
So you want to amend this budget, is that what we're asking for?
No.
Sarah, is that what we're asking for here?
I think that Tony's waiting.
I think we can come back to it
Okay.
later weeks, you know.
So we wanna hold off on approving this budget?
I think so.
Okay.
So I did put in, the next slide, I did put in the fire department vehicle list, year of vehicle, mileage of vehicle as requested, and estimated life expectancy. So anything that's in yellow is basically a reserve or second line piece, anything is green is primary, and then orange is purchase year. So if you just jump to the next slide for a second. So under our capital items, I'll go for the easiest one first. Cardiac monitor replacement, this is just payment 3 of 3, so the last one for our paramedic cardiac monitors that have already been done. The next one down, or the firefighting equipment, it was initially $70,000. We did a little bit of bartering with multiple municipalities. As you know, we got the SCBA breathing tank grant. One of the costs that we were gonna need to do was upgrade our compressor air system in order to fill them. We found a system that we were able to obtain because the department didn't need a 5,500 PSI system and they only needed the system that we had. So we were able to do a little bit of moving of puzzle pieces, and now we have the system installed in the station working. And we didn't have to come to you for anything. So decrease 70 to 50, and the main item on that firefighting equipment is our hose. Every year our hose has to be tested. Over the last couple of years, we've had our hoses, you know, between 10 and 20 years old, and we're starting to have them fail on annual testing. So this is just a replacement line item for hose and a couple of radios for that.
Are they still canvas or are they the special ones? that don't burn?
Rubber is the supply lines, and then they have a high heat attack line that you actually bring into the fire. But the ones that go from the hydrant to the truck are usually
Right.
lighter weights.
Okay.
Heavy,
Well, we
but-
do have them for a hot.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yep.
that was terrible what happened.
Yeah, so basically the mother from the fallen firefighter has been pushing the high heat hoses, and that's what we've been purchasing. We haven't bought anything in years, but that will be purchased when we do it. And then the OIC vehicle. So looking at our equipment list, my goal is to optimize the use and life of vehicles. Currently, our Car 3, which is used as our OIC vehicle or officer in charge vehicle, is a small SUV. 2018, 65,000 miles on it. It's starting to have some electrical issues, have to be jumped, and that's okay if it's my car or something like that. But for something that needs to start in an emergency, I think it needs to be on the radar to replace. What I think we should do is the Squad 1, which is our forestry truck, is actually a pickup truck. It's a beautiful pickup truck that sits in the basement for forest fires. I would like to repurpose that as the OIC vehicle and then find a used DPW truck to use in the woods, because that does not have to be as mechanically sound, and it's going to go in the woods and it's going to be a high likelihood to be dented, dinged, scraped. And I think that's a better use of funds. So when I say replacement of the OIC vehicle, it is sourcing a used vehicle, repurposing the forestry, so we can get a better use of our money that was spent on a pickup truck that is a 2021 with 8,000 miles on it. So,
Was Essex looking for a new forestry truck?
so they, Essex has a,
Humper.
no, well, they have a $200,000 forestry truck, then they just did a, same idea, they got a used DPW truck as a second forestry truck.
Okay, I thought we could sell them ours.
So basically, it's playing musical vehicles a little bit, but I want it to be clear that it's to optimize life expectancy of a vehicle, so we actually have a return on
Go
investment.
back to the vehicle list and just spend a little more time on it.
Yeah, sure, go back. Well, I wanted to tell you what it was, so then we can go back to the list.
I think I understand.
Okay,
So as you go down this list, so engine number 1,
that's our primary pump truck.
primary pump, I gather. Okay, so since my memory is failing me, did we bought, it went from, I see.
What year? It's
That's a
I'm
2011.
trying to read this intelligently, so,
2011. Yeah.
okay, it's an 11 vehicle, it's our primary, got it. Then we have the Linfield engine.
So this is as of 9 o'clock this morning. So we've been housing a Linfield engine for them during their station
More than
construction.
housing. I mean,
Huh?
we've been
We've been using it.
using it.
It was
That's the right verb.
they needed to house it because they didn't have room for it during, they were building 2 fire stations. So we are housing it and using it. They requested that back now that the stations are built, but they said we have a sister truck that's it's built the same year, a little bit more, maybe a lot more tired. It's a little bit more tired. We were able to purchase that for $100. So that occurred. The goal with that is basically get us through until the new one arrives in a year and a half.
It's a year and a half, that's what I didn't remember.
Yeah, so it's July
Real
1
period.
of 27, which is fiscal 28. Yes. So that
We're
one,
only gonna have one engine.
we have 2, we're gonna
We
have,
haven't had 2 in the past.
historically, we've always had 2. We've had two engines, even when I was here back in.
What happened to the second engine we had? I mean, we're housing the Linfield engine, right?
Right.
So what happened to our second engine if we've always had a second engine?
That was before I got here, and we were down to.
She's referring to the SWAT 3.
No, I'm not. Was that our second engine?
It was our second engine.
The cute one.
It had a
The
pump.
cute one, yes.
Yeah, it was the cute one. That met pumping requirements.
And we sold that.
Yeah.
We did. Yes.
That was before I got here.
Okay.
That was a strategy of a prior.
Yeah, that we
Correct.
needed smaller equipment to get up all the driveways.
Right.
After the University Lane disaster.
Okay.
So anyway,
Could you talk about ambulances?
yeah, so we currently have a single ambulance, which is ambulance 1. That's our primary. We have one on order that actually it's ordered and should be here.
One is not primary, you say it's the second.
Well, in fiscal year 27, it should actually be half colored because our new one will be here. No, wait, we're in fiscal year 26, right? Yeah, so fiscal year 27, it will be secondary because we're getting one between May and July. We've already ordered it. It's in process of being
We've
built.
only had one ambulance for quite a while,
I do understand that.
and now we're going to 2.
Well, there's,
Went back to 2.
Going back to 2 with a new one, and then the
ambulance
ambulance
number
1
1.
becomes ambulance number 2 because it's older.
So we've got, number 2, ambulance number 2 will
Yeah.
become essentially the primary.
Correct.
That's the one on order to be
Yeah.
delivered. And our intent is to have 2 that are functioning operational at all times.
Because even if we have to do an oil change, we don't have an ambulance in town. Like, even
I
just
understand.
small mechanical stuff, and that's 70% of our call volume.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question on 2 ambulances. What's your guess on the annual, sort of like certification, maintenance, all that to keep 2 ambulances running? Is it
So
10 grand or is it 90 grand?
I would say less because we already have the equipment. So right now we're running paramedic equipment on an engine company. We're just moving that equipment to the ambulance so that way we can actually transport to the hospital and get receivables. So we're not buying any equipment, we're just buying the vehicle. We have the equipment to move into it. So there's no added consumable costs, if you will, minus oil change or,
And
you
we're
know.
still paying 400,000 for a vehicle with nothing in it?
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's a tin box with an engine and 6 wheels. It's
I'll
absolutely.
tell you, Emergency One is one of our customers. You would not believe what it costs to build a fire truck. It's
I
built
know what
like
it
a
costs to
tank.
buy one.
It's built like a tank from the ground up. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
And what do we have in the reserve, the fund for replacements? What's the balance?
So currently there's 325,000 in the account. I had proposed doing 350 this year and then 350 next year, which would be the final payment for it. There's some debate back and forth whether it's better just to do the 700 next year as the final. And I don't know, all you guys obviously know the inner workings of how that works out for.
Well, we're expecting to have more money next year.
Yeah.
And you're expecting to do 350 this year? Though
No.
I didn't.
So I had put in 350 and then that's kind of like a light gray color because they're gonna, or light peach color, I guess.
And what does that mean?
That just means it's gonna be 0 and it's gonna be 700 next year.
So are we doing, are we funding the 350? I don't
No.
think so.
It's not in the capital budget.
I fully agree with you.
And I think that the hope is that next year, if we don't have the 420 OPEB payment and we're paying 350K out for retirement premiums out of the OPEB trust, that maybe we'll have enough money to buy an ambulance and do this over here and do that over there.
So the one thing with the fire truck is, it would be December of, a year ago December is when we signed the contract for the engine. And in the Sourcewell agreement, basically, it just says that it has to go, to get out of the contract, it just has to be voted down at town meeting. So it's just, we're obligated to bring it to town meeting for the delivery of January 1st of 27 FY 28.
This is engine one.
This is the new engine, yes. The one that we already have the 325 in the bank for, because what we were able to do it for 900,000 versus if we waited to do it, it's gonna be like one, which is still crazy.
So we've already fully paid for the ambulance.
Ambulance is paid.
Okay.
So does that become a warrant article that we just have to vote, like a,
Next year?
yeah, number 27?
Yeah, next year, whether it be free cash funded or we're borrowing for it, we don't know that yet, but it didn't make sense. We don't have the free cash for the 350 this year. We're gonna ask to borrow for 350 this year or even the full amount when we have all these other needs, so. We just said, let's push it off to next year and go
We
for
don't
the
borrow for vehicles.
Yeah, my feeling is these are sort of operating costs.
Right.
I don't like to borrow for operating costs. Let's make the people pay taxes for that. If we've got a big, we've got to build a school or something, let's borrow for that, but I don't know about borrowing for an ambulance, I don't like that idea.
Oh, I think we've never done that historically.
No, we overrode for the ambulance.
What are the cars?
So
What do they look like?
So the OIC one is the red one you see probably around. That's what the
Is
officer on
it a
duty.
truck?
No, it's the SUV. We don't. The only truck we have is the squad pickup. That is the forestry.
Okay.
We were running that during the winter storm. We took the forestry unit off because
So
we
that's
wanted
the
to have a
red-
pickup.
Red SUV,
Yeah.
yeah.
The assistant chief vehicle is actually an old police car that we grabbed that they were going to turn in, and then my car.
The black one.
So what's the total number of vehicles, including the fire
Looks like.
engine?
Including the new ambulance coming in is 10, but as well as the ATV side by side, little ATV thing, right? 1, 2. Yeah, 10 including the UTV with the new ambulance included. Yep.
Just question, what's the rationale for 2 engines? As opposed to one?
Because one, we have areas in town that don't have hydrants, so the engines we have to relay pump. So each engine can basically pump 1,000 feet worth of hose. So basically you put them in line in order to access all those places that don't have hydrants. And that same thing is if one's down for maintenance, because it's not the old days when it was all like non-computerized. There are so many computers in them that they break all the time. So it's basically redundancy. So we don't want a redundant ladder truck.
Right, and that
redundant pump makes sense.
The truck that we sold, I don't know, 3 years ago, or I can picture it. We didn't get much for it, as I recall, but we got something. So, but the Linfield truck then replaced that, I guess, because we borrowed that. And
Yeah.
it happened to fit with their needs because they
Yes,
didn't have a
yes.
fire station, so they said,
Yes.
we can't store it anyway.
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff was in progress when I
When
came
you
in.
showed up?
When I came
Okay.
in. But we're back. This, as is just like the staffing. This is where Manchester needs to be, unless we have some significant change in occupancy type hazards, things
And
like that.
do you have a UTV or an ATV?
UTV. We bought our Facebook Marketplace.
Because the police has an extra ATV, right?
That's
Because they
different.
replaced it with a UTV.
Yeah, they got a grant. They got a grant for that, and that's the other thing too. Is same thing with the emergency management. I was going to say is we've been very fortunate to get a lot of grants. So especially for like sheltering supplies, things like that, we've been very fortunate to get grants to offset a lot of these costs. So you're not seeing those reflected in your operating budgets because we're fortunate to be awarded the grants.
Just one question. I know you guys pump more oxygen than water these days, but it's probably for the DPW. Are the hydrants okay in town?
Yeah,
I know we
so
have an
Chuck and his
ongoing
team-
maintenance, but is it, in your view, as the user of these things,
They've gotten
are they good
significantly
enough?
better. And we've identified, through testing and things like that, areas that are on the list to do. And all these things, equipment, training, that now we're able to do in-house on duty because we have the staff to do it, as well as the water system. All this affects the insurance rating too. So once all the people and stuff come into town, I'm going to invite the ISO to come in and do another evaluation of our rates. And we're going to see a significant increase, or increase in score, decrease in rates, based upon the improvements we've made, both in our water system, training, equipment, and staff.
Do we have a list of places where we should be adding hydrants?
I have a list where there's no hydrants, so yes.
I mean, do we have a plan
Well, I think
to
some,
add hydrants where they don't exist, where we have a public water supply?
I have to defer to Chuck on that one.
Okay.
So, we just know when a call comes in, it flashes on our screen like
No hydrant.
no hydrant, and we have Essex come automatically with their tanker, and we have the resources to set up for relay pumping, we call it.
Because I thought we had water through most of the town.
We've gotten a lot better. They've added the loop on Jersey Lane, the King, what's that new street? Kingsway?
Yeah.
Kingsway. There was a couple areas up towards end of Brookwood Road. It's got decreased water pressure. Some of the upper part of Jersey Lane. There's a couple
Oh, so they've got to loop the water before they can add hydrants.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah, so it has to do with the pressure, and you can't have stagnant water sitting
Yeah.
there based upon amount of usage and all stuff I have no idea about, so I gotta defer.
All right, as a corollary to that comment, if that discussion is had and you get the hydrants in the right spots, you can probably drop down to one engine. I'm looking at longer term, and that's not something you solve in 2 or 3 years. but-
So another conversation to have in future years is collaboration of resources.
Yes.
And I'll just leave it at that.
We've chatted about that
Okay.
a little bit.
So there are bigger discussions to be had that might help that same thought process come to fruition.
So you might want to make sure that Essex and you don't schedule a ladder maintenance on the same day.
We already,
Yeah.
we do that, we make sure we,
Yeah.
the same thing with the ambulance, like
Right.
we move things around and we make sure we're covered.
And just on simpler things, so the 2 squad vehicles, just give me the,
One's a pickup truck with a skid unit, and the other one is a small UTV, ATV type vehicle.
and the repurposing,
The squad 1 would become car 3, and then we'd find a used DPW truck or something that's,
Okay, thank
we
you.
don't need to have a $50,000 pickup truck sitting in the basement waiting for a brush fire.
Thank you, that's
So
it.
I just rather get better life out of the vehicles we have.
Paint it from yellow to red.
That's
Or black.
Or black.
Utility versus.
Utility.
Just because a few of us here in the corner aren't completely, what's a UTV versus an ATV?
Utility, so it has a pickup truck bed on the back versus just your single
Okay,
fun run is
Recreation,
the ATV. Utility has some type of bed or purpose, I guess.
So we finished with the fire chief?
Yes, thank you.
I
Yep.
think so.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Thanks.
Should I wait till you call me to the front?
Now we're on Parks and Rec.
I'll have no PowerPoint presentation, so
Oh,
we can
no.
start with that.
No, no.
Try not to go 90 minutes.
Yes, but you wrote us a terrific memo, thank you very much.
Good, I was hoping that would help.
It helped me a great deal.
You know what, sometimes if you just see the positives and the negatives in the same place, it helps, right?
Yep.
So actually, you guys were probably on that email. We were.
We try to keep them ill-informed.
that way we can make really bad decisions.
Successful.
So I'm open to do this either way. We can go page by page, or you guys can just ask questions. I don't have as many changes, I don't think, as fire does. But first page,
Can you kind of explain to us the personnel you have and what budgets they cross, if they do? I mean, you've got,
yes.
you got Parks and Rec, you got Singing Beach, you know, and I don't know if you have distinct people in each department or if some people cross lines. For instance, you cross lines.
Yes, because,
And
yeah.
is your salary crossed between the two budgets?
No, yes, if I don't, kind of, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, the salaries oversee all of them, so, but for, I mean, quite simply, there's just two full-time year-round staff,
Okay.
myself and Heather DePriest.
And she's the program coordinator?
Right, so, and the director of the after-school program, which is one of the many programs, but the most.
And so some of her salary comes out of that revolving account?
Right,
Okay.
and then all other staff is, actually, sorry, we do have one other who is year-round, but she is paid out of the revolving fund because she works at the after-school program.
Okay.
So she is year-round, then in the summer she works at the playground program.
Okay.
Other than that, everyone's seasonal part-time
For a specific
for a specific program, right? Occasionally, if I get lucky, I get somebody who works more than one, they may work the after-school program and then also work at Beach, because it's their off-season. Yeah, or they work at the after-school program and then they work at the playground program. It's technically both revolving accounts. And then the one Chuck's Point person who, you know, does some of the cleaning and there. So that's the one other staff. That's all on staff.
So the program coordinators
Is
salary changed?
her hours moved up. Andrea can help me too. So she went from, she was at 32, then she went to 35, now she's at 40 hours a week. So programming has really also gone up. That's why plus her longevity's gone up this year. She's been here 18 years. Some union negotiations happened, so that's part of her increase. Does that cover everything?
Yeah.
Did the job itself change as far as how it's coded?
Yes, grade
Okay,
increase.
Great, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
When the whole real stuff was done,
Yes.
okay. So it's not just steps and whatever it is.
She's taken on more responsibility too, as Cheryl's taken on more responsibility, and the team leader position was created for rec, health, and COA. Some of Cheryl's responsibilities have trickled down, and Heather's picked those up as she grabbed new responsibilities.
So who's
there's-
getting the team leader stipend? Is that,
That's me.
that's,
Yeah.
okay, okay. That's what I thought, but I'm sure. It
So,
was all kind of generic when it was explained to us. There
What-
was a lot of details.
what's going on with the Singing Beach salaries, like looking at from 2024?
Let's wait.
Are we not
That
in
page
salaries?
I think.
Let's
Oh.
start
Page
with
by
Parks
page.
and Rec.
Okay,
Page 66. It's a separate budget from Singing Beach, okay?
I had just a question about the email thing you sent out, and maybe it's just my math, but when I was adding up the revolving fund revenue, it didn't quite line up, and I was wondering, is that timing? Is this a fiscal year, operational year thing going on, or?
What are you looking at that did not
So-
line up?
The memo that Cheryl sent out to all of us this afternoon, earlier,
Versus the revenue on
yeah,
the budget book.
it talks about the revolving fund, income history and the revolving fund revenues of 646,322. And when I just kind of went through and added up the playground revenue and the Tux Point, Kroll Chapel, everything, it didn't quite get there. And I was wondering if that was because of timing.
It's under recreation receipts.
So
If you look at the revenue in the budget book, the recreation receipts equals the 646,322.34,
Mm-hmm.
which is what she has.
So I'm just looking at the email we received
yes.
that
So
talks about revolving fund income of 646,000, and I thought when I added up those various things, they came up a couple $100,000 short.
yeah. So what Cheryl did, she did. You mind me speaking
No,
for
go
you?
right ahead.
She broke up the revolving fund into the different sections, so that first one that has the revolving fund revenues of 646 is
Okay.
just for the recreation receipts. And then if you scroll down a little bit, then there's the playground revenues,
Got it,
also
okay.
within the revolving fund, and that is just the playground receipts. So she was kind of trying to
Okay.
break it out by like cost center,
Got it,
Um,
okay.
that's why.
Great, thanks.
Yes, cost center.
I have a question from somebody who's a freshman. And that is, what is the history of the revolving fund?
The history that I know, it was prior to me being here, but that is the history of it in Manchester, you mean, not of
Yes,
the fund
yeah,
in
why
general.
do we have
Right.
for a revolving fund for Parks and Rec and not for DPW, or, I don't know, yeah.
No, now we might get into the legalities of it then.
Yeah.
So it is a fund that was created for recreation, not just Manchester, but for state, federal, I don't know. For that program money could be paid in and paid out, but you can never exceed, obviously, what you're
Was
bringing
paid in.
in,
Yeah.
right?
So the revenue was fees paid by town residents who participate in the programs.
In different
correct?
programs. And that was a way to kind of get programs started when they first started a recreation department without using any taxpayer money to get started.
What does,
And I think,
what happens to the balances carried over? Are the balances carried over? The positive balances are carried over.
Yes.
Isn't that part of the benefit of a,
But what happens to them?
what happens to them?
Well, we use them.
Some goes back to the general fund,
It does, okay.
yeah, some
I'm sorry, it goes
stays.
back to the general fund. Oh, so it doesn't carry over?
Some carries over, some pays back, kind of pays back for salaries for, like Heather, the program
Right,
coordinator.
but if there is something left over after you've repaid expenses, got it, at the end of the fiscal year, what happens to that?
It gets rolled over in the revolving fund.
It gets rolled over. And so my question is, what happens, how do we spend the revolving fund positive balances? Or what, is there something here you're proposing about that? I'm not sure.
Can I
There-
speak?
Yes, let Andrea speak to that.
I can speak to that. So, another reason why we set up a revolving fund is due to timing, especially for like, say, for instance, the after-school program or the summer camp program is really the best example. So we charge the fees, you know, in what, March,
April, May, June, yeah.
April, May, June or so, but then we spend that money after the fiscal year and
Right.
things like that. So money carries over. We do have in our estimated receipts, money from the revolving fund to pay back the general fund for salaries and things like that. If the balance does get accumulated, we usually have some kind of capital that we have on our list that we're gonna do. Like we use some of the revolving fund for the Pine Street field. Anything related to the recreation that'll support those programs and activities that the revolving fund.
So it goes into a
does.
capital project of one sort or another. Got it.
If the funds can be
Equipment.
accumulated that way, yes.
I think it was
Depending on the
actually,
program activity.
you look confused and it might be because I keep getting mixed up with what Pine Street, but it was Brook Street, it was for the new artificial
Oh, yes.
carpeting.
Sorry, they happened at the same time.
Yes,
Sorry.
we were splitting with the school. And that's where we found an extra $500 for that, because we run a lot of programs, obviously, on that field. And because the expense has to be related to the programs.
Just curious, was there seed money that was put into that when this was formed 15 years ago or whenever? And then did that get paid back, or you don't know, or?
I'd have to look.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Usually at town meeting, if you remember, we have a warrant article say like the revolving fund could spend up to X number of dollars. So really you could go into a deficit of that amount of dollars as long as you expect that money to come in. So it could be like a timing thing that yes, the money came in and then we spent it, or they spent some money to get the program started that eventually did get paid back, so.
When we started the health revolving fund, there was no seed money that went into it.
You just
It
went
was
from
just an authorization up to a certain amount and they
initial
had to collect
deficit
the
and
money
then
from
it
the
caught up.
insurance companies, yeah.
It caught up and then you were fine.
Yes.
And Cheryl, are there capital, one or more capital items proposed out of the revolving fund for this year, for the
We
27?
don't have one proposed right now, no. No. Unfortunately, well, two things, sir. Capital projects that are in the pipeline are not related to programs, because it's related to like the beach, or we could maybe stretch Sweeney Field, but the amount of money that's there isn't enough right now anyways, so. Hopefully keep
I thought there was a
accumulating.
Scene Beach bathhouse plumbing, which we didn't shoot. I think that's not intended to go forward.
But these programs are not at the beach.
Right.
This
Playground.
this playground.
Let's say,
So that,
the need for like the playgrounds to be crowned so they drain easier, that's like a maintenance thing, is that more of a facilities?
It's more of a
Because
facility thing,
that's
yeah.
something we really, there's a hole there, because it's so easy to make that drain better instead of the puddles staying, you know, for the mud. But it's a matter of crowning the field. We should be able to throw some compost.
Not our job.
Yeah.
We just do finances.
Yeah.
We don't do fields.
It's just a town need, a recreational need.
So are there questions on this Parks and Rec? Salaries and expenses?
Has there ever been a year, Cheryl, where it's gone negative? You know, like.
We're back on the revolving fund?
Yeah, back
Okay.
like Singing Beach is just had a ton of rain, or nobody signed up for
Well,
kids' sports, or,
Singing Beach is not revolving fund,
okay.
that is budgeted.
So
But
the
for
other
revolving
activities.
fund, no, even during COVID where we couldn't run a lot of programs, no, we did have enough of a little cushion or rollover that we were able to still pay some of the staff and enough to get by.
How do you determine your fee level?
We compare it to other towns, and also we try to keep it on like a 70-30 split, that we're making 30% of whatever we're charging. Maybe
Okay, okay.
goes back for admin and whatever else,
Mhm.
which is pretty standard for
Okay.
most departments.
When you think of insurance that we're paying for the town, how does that fit into this equation? Or is that like two totally separate buckets? Because I'm sure there's an insurance issue with all the things we're doing with Parks and Rec. That's not a negative, it's just the cost doing business.
Yeah.
That's part of the money that I estimate in the estimated receipts for fees. We take that from the revolving fund and give that to the general fund to cover the insurance, any other
Like overhead kind of stuff.
yes, overhead stuff, like things like that.
What is the balance in the revolving fund?
It's about 650.
Right, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Right, changes daily.
Yeah, I see the history and all of that, but I was just wondering what the balance was. Sorry?
Oh, no, Andrea's looking
Yes,
at it,
I'm
because it
looking at it.
changes daily.
Yes, it's about 600,000 right now.
600,000 sitting in a revolving.
No, but the problem is they're collecting fees
Mhm.
and then they're providing the services. And
Okay,
they
well,
don't
the question I'm asking is,
immediately remove they don't charge the salaries immediately to that fund. So she's just giving you a dollar amount, she hasn't charged all the expenses yet to it.
I have not.
so I'll rephrase the question. There's a plus made each year.
Yes.
At least from what I understand Maury's question, this is not, that must accumulate into a carryover, this plus that's not immediately charged. And I'm trying to find out what is the rough amount that's in there that I might consider as the excess.
Net worth.
Am I making sense? Is this a
The
question?
net worth of the Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Right, Maury was asking about, does it ever
The
go
problem is
negative?
it's revolving.
Yeah,
So
it's
there's
that,
never-
you have to do an analysis of that because it depends on like the
I
number
see.
of programs,
I see.
what you're charging for the programs, like if we pre-collected for the, summer camp program, how the after-school program's been, collecting, things
So
like
the
that,
answer, the
so.
answer is we don't look at that.
That's almost why I did the history, just because,
Well, I see the history.
even though it's a snapshot, it's kind of the best snapshot you're gonna get.
Yeah, I was just
The
trying to.
easiest thing to ask is, what's your lowest point in the year typically? In November,
I wouldn't even,
July?
Yeah, I haven't looked
I
at
mean,
that.
this goes up and
The
down, but
problem
when
is it's year-round programs, so.
it's
Right.
year
Yeah.
round,
I
but there's
do
gotta be
understand,
some
but you're
point where
making a
there's kind of quiet, there's not a lot of
positive
programs going on. So there's not-
Carried over though, an amount is carried over
Yeah,
every
Got
year.
it. I got it. So it goes up and up and up and
Just
up.
wondered what it
And
was.
when you decided to spend part of it on the Pine Street field,
Brook Street, sorry.
Brook Street, how did you calculate
Perfect question.
the excess
Yes,
that was
Thank you.
available to spend on that?
thank you. That's just what I'm
Yes.
trying to get at.
Yeah, so at that time, we were looking at different funding sources and we reviewed that going back years
Mhm.
and decided, okay, this is how much you expect to spend in the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Yep.
And like what would
So
be
you
the balance,
estimated it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So is it fair to say, Andrea, if you took an average of the revolving fund on the 30th of every day of the month for the whole year, 12 months, it would be something like 650,000? That's kind of the number that's sitting there. And it goes up and down like the tide, but at the end of the year, the average is 650 grand.
That's a
Just a
now.
huge number.
It is.
Wow.
Is that just?
You could spend a couple $100,000 on something and you'd still be well in the black.
it has to be revolving fund program related.
Okay.
so don't go getting any ideas.
You got lots of parts.
That's what we're paid big bucks to do here.
Yeah.
Buy a fire truck.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
All
they,
the Tux
they,
Point
they do that
maintenance,
safety
because
day
they
for
have
us.
programs at Tux Point.
I had a question that residents keep asking me, if we charge people passes to go on the beach in the summer, shouldn't we be charging dogs in the winter? Because there's a lot of defecation and everything, and, there's some maintenance associated
Get some
with it.
sticks down there to monitor dogs.
So is it additional income that we are missing?
Possibly,
Yeah,
possibly is, yeah.
I don't know how
would
you
think
collect
better-
it.
Would you collect enough to pay
Personally,
the person who's
Right.
sitting there?
In the
freezing
freezing cold.
I don't see it as a good, business venture.
Right.
However, if we got a parking system in place that charged a nominal fee for parking in the winter,
Right.
especially for non-residents,
Right.
that could be the way to get it,
do
you
it.
know.
Yeah, do the parking, I think.
It seems to be a busy, popular thing for out of towners, so. that's-
Still plenty of room for snow down
Please
there.
do.
Sorry to keep beating this dog.
Uh-oh.
But, so in '23, this revolving fund was about 450,000. '24, it was 536, and then it's jumped up over 100,000 from '24 to '25. Just extrapolating sunny beach days over the next 3 years.
This is a
This-
beach.
This thing's, okay, well, I mean, so
It's
lots
just
and lots of
programs.
kids coming into lots and lots of programs, excuse me, I'm screwing that up. I mean, we may be at $700,000 or $800,000.
What's our
What
plan?
do we do with this? I mean, is this something we talk with the town at a town meeting and say, can we get some latitude to put this into capital, or, I mean,
Well,
eventually
I
this
also
is.
wanna just note too, like that these balances that she has, like, our fiscal year end, so they end in June 30th. So what year did you switch, when you collected for the summer?
When we started collecting earlier, well, it kept kind of getting earlier and earlier when we would take in the fees for the summer.
Because I feel like all that money is sitting right there, but is gonna be spent in July and August.
So when
Yeah.
do you charge the revolving fund for the expenses and the salaries that are attributable to the programs? When do you actually charge it against this revenue?
It is continuous, but she's saying, for
Yeah.
example, like the summer program, the entire summer, somebody might pay $1,500 to sign up in May for the early bird special. But we're not spending any of that money on our staff or any of that until July and August.
But if, like your program director, coordinator.
Yeah.
That entire salary comes out of the revolving account?
Not the entire amount,
Why not?
because the revolving fund rules,
It's a revolving fund, what?
Rules.
like laws.
Rule.
Yeah, there's,
Fiber house rules.
you know. I could do a presentation on what a revolving fund is and the different ones, because it's like,
I'm just trying to find out what's in there that's not committed. Because I think it could be a very substantial amount of money.
It is, but it's really can only be spent on program related.
Oh, I'm not
Which
saying
is-
spend it on something else.
Which is why we don't like revolving funds, because
I
it doesn't
can- I
come
can
why
have
down.
we
a
love
much better
revolving.
appreciation of why we
Yes.
don't like revolving funds.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of money in there that ought to be used on whatever is permitted under the rules. And that money's just sitting there, and that's not the way we make this stuff.
Could we have a policy where if the amount gets so high that we kick a reduced rate in?
No, we
until
don't wanna
it-
reduce the rates, we wanna use the excess revenue.
Well, then use it.
So to be honest, that was a bigger jump from one year to the next than I expected, because we took more kids in our after-school program. That is a very successful program. So we are working on doing more staff raises, which I was telling Andrea the other day, apparently kids don't want to start working at $8 an hour like I did when I started working at the summer playground program. So those kinds of things, because the revolving fund staff rates don't have to come here, now we know we can afford more. So we can put on more staff, we can have more at the after-school program or at the summer playground that maybe we didn't before. We got Cooper Fund grants for things that maybe we couldn't be sure we were gonna get them, so, it's not reflected in the fees. But then now this year, we know for playground, okay, we don't really need to go up as much as we thought we need to. We can keep it under $200 for a full day, for a full week, keep it affordable, and we can afford that. But until the money's there, we don't know that.
You're hearing enthusiasm at our end of this whole thing. It's just that.
I know, I'm just afraid you're gonna take it away.
Is there a way for you to provide us with an analysis of the various programs and the money coming in for a specific program against the costs that are charged to that program? Because it seems to me like your summer playground is a program where money comes in at various times and expenses, but yet it's it's over a concise period of time.
We're using that as
Well,
an
it's just an
example, 'cause
example.
that's the one that spreads the gamut of the fiscal year. Really, it's the after-school program that is.
I'm talking summer playground.
Yeah, so summer playground, we're using it as an example, but that's really not our biggest money maker.
Okay, it's the after-school program,
It's the after-school program.
which is summer and school year or
No,
just
just
school year?
school year.
Yeah, so if there's some way of looking at the revenue that comes in for the after-school program and what the expenses are attributable to that, that would give us a better feel for the delta.
So maybe, I mean, I don't know if this is an easy thing to do. My question earlier is if you average the revolving fund every month, and that's the average, what's the
I'd have to look
delta?
at that.
How low does it go and how high does it go? And I think what we're kind of asking is, when you figure out how low it goes, what's that number? You know, we want to take the money away. Is there a way to use that a little better? You know, like if the lowest number is 300K, could we use 150K or 200K to fix some stuff or do some stuff better
Signs
rather
up
than
on
let it
fields.
sit there?
Is that a category that would fit in
It's
there?
just a, you know, I know it's a cushion, you know, but we're all here to make sure things don't go red, you know,
Right,
that's.
Yeah, and, it was nice that I think it was 500 that we used when we
We
needed
did,
it
yeah.
for the field, and not everything is applicable.
I understand.
But it was nice that it was there when we really needed it too,
Yep.
you know, for something
Yeah,
that
but
made
we don't
sense.
like to store up money.
That's right.
Although the general fund gets the interest income on it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's the alternative? What's the alternative though? I mean,
Is
it's a revolving fund
to
with.
be able to
with rules.
identify capital items
Yeah,
that can be paid from that revolving fund.
Exactly.
So for example, like CPC might be able to do something teamed up with this, to do something that we've been trying to do for a long time. You know, if we can't quite get over the corner on a playground improvement or something like that, CPC can do X, and we can deploy a little bit of this and move it home.
And
Stuff
that's
like
kind of what
that.
I'm thinking with like the Sweetie Park project, which,
Yep.
you know, has been on the list for a long time. We're not gonna get 2 or 3 million in the revolving fund, but it could be a partnership with CPC or something, like you said, to kind of get it over the finish line.
Yep.
Get some-
I'm not trying to take it away.
I'm wondering if we should do a revolving fund for like the launch, so that
No,
we
we
don't have to pay
don't.
for,
We don't wanna do revolving funds, cause then we can't get the excess money out.
well,
That's
we
the
just
whole
don't
point.
wanna have to put all this money in their capital, cause there's.
Okay,
Well, I just like
I'm not
to,
gonna spend all night on this.
Right, no,
Can we-
no.
I
Can we
agree.
vote on a budget here?
but
Yeah.
one last,
One
I'd
last
like
thing,
to
Doc.
say, I'd like to celebrate the fact that our moms and kids are enjoying these programs. And obviously they're supporting them, which is a good sign.
Thank you, guys,
And-
that's what I was looking for.
And so, I mean, I think those are the kinds of things, and maybe, you know, even our town administrator could put that in a newsletter and just say, by the way, did you know
Yeah.
that we have a place that, you know, a 9-year-old can go after school, which is pretty damn good. I mean, very nice.
Well, I will
Right.
say, all the real estate offices in town know, and as people are moving to
There you
town,
go.
people know, you know,
Right.
and it is one of the things people move
Good,
here
good
for.
thing.
That after-school program is full at the present
Yeah.
time, but,
And it's not taxpayers paying in to make this happen. It's
right,
kind of does itself
right.
kind of thing. Pretty good.
Does
And
itself.
they're all
Yeah.
trained to,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
All right.
they're all trained, so
Well,
we don't have
rough up.
liability.
Onward.
We have a Parks and Rec salaries
Needs
and,
one.
salaries and expensive budget in the amount of $206,966.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Or seconds? Any more discussion on topic?
No.
Take a vote. Gar,
Yes.
Dee,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Peter, and Sarah votes yes. Okay. I don't know, the way this is set up, I flip it the wrong way. Parks and Rec, Singing Beach, and lifeguards.
So now to switch over kind of to my memo, just to relate to this, or if you wanna just go through and vote it anyways, I don't have to talk about it. But I just wanted to note that every fall is up to the Park and Rec Committee that we go over all the different rates and fees that we have. This past fall, we did vote to put up the parking fee. Which, as everyone knows, that does not affect residents. This is the Monday through Friday non-resident parking fee to $35. And we decided not to move up the walk-on fee, the $10 daily walk-on fee. Just due to we are trying to get credit cards there, and there will be credit card fees coming, so we could kind of stagger that in. Let people pay their own credit card fees along with the $10, so that's gonna move the price up on its own.
So you're gonna be charging more than $10 to cover the credit card?
We'll be
fees?
charging 10, but they'll be paying the extra.
Oh, I didn't know you
We're
could
still
do
working on that.
Okay, okay.
Well, you know how if you paid your taxes online, you're paying the credit card fee, right, whatever.
That's why I don't pay online.
I know, right?
That's fine.
But you'd be surprised. I mean,
Yeah,
surprised how many people would rather just pay the fee, because a lot of them now are using the ATM there,
yeah,
which is maybe a $3 fee
right.
anyways, so. But even just, adding on the $5 to the parking fee, could potentially bring in another $7,000 or $8,000 for that, for the non-resident parking. But essentially the beach pays for itself and then also has extra when it's all said and done.
First to spend.
I don't get to keep that in my revolving fund, not to be confused.
And you indicated, so you increased lifeguard salaries.
A little bit, yeah.
Are they at a reasonable level now, or you're gonna have to increase them again next year?
I'm always stuck between little increases every year or a bigger increase all at once, so I try to go with a little bit each year, to be honest. I mean, here, as opposed to waiting 3 years and coming and saying, oh, now I need $5 a person an hour more.
Has there been any complaints about whether we need to have lifeguards at White Beach or Black Beach or anywhere else, or is it just?
I wouldn't say complaints, and occasionally somebody will ask about White Beach.
We certainly hear about it.
Yeah. I have
More
heard
so on,
from
more so
one
on
person.
like,
Not from somebody who goes there, somebody
staffing,
wandering.
not necessarily lifeguard though, right? It's more like staffing and
Parking staff
oversight,
more
yeah.
than lifeguard.
I'm wondering if we could use some of this budget in other beaches as well. There is an impression on rainy days that there's a lot of people hanging around, but
There
I
is.
know you can't just lay them off.
Right, right. And especially the lifeguards are usually college kids, and I can't say, well, you're gonna work anywhere from 16 to 40 hours each week, depending on the weather,
Right,
I figure once they make a commitment to us, we have a commitment to them.
Just a
And
question,
you can't extend the period that you have lifeguards?
No. You mean like before Memorial Day or after Labor Day?
Yeah.
I would say no, because even on Labor Day, we usually have 2 lifeguards left, and 2 lifeguards is not enough to guard that beach. So
What
we,
about opening the bathhouse
after Labor Day,
and before Memorial Day?
usually all the staff goes back to school, but for some weekends, with a bigger budget, I could look at it.
It's just very restrictive. I mean, that beach is one of our best assets.
Actually,
And
part
to
of,
not have a bathhouse available for a longer period of the year, to me, is a disservice to the residents of the town.
so part of the
I
new
don't do
bathhouse.
porta potties because I've had bad experiences.
I don't
because they're
blame
not
you.
clean.
Yeah, but part of the project we are looking at with the bathhouse is to have it be able to have the main section of it with real bathrooms
Are you
open, similar to like how Tux Point the bathrooms
Fantastic.
used to be open.
That's
Good.
good. That is wonderful.
That would be good, yeah.
EA said no to that project this year, but you guys are in charge of the capital, so Olson and Lewis is doing a project,
I think we have a chance of finding it.
Yeah, I can't use revolving fund though.
But yeah, no, I really think that we should get that on the capital budget next year, because that bathhouse
Oh,
is not in good repair.
It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace, and the beach is a gem, and, you go there and, you wanna stay till 6, and it's closed, you don't have a bathroom to use, you don't have a shower to use.
And you pay $10.
I usually open till 6:45.
The other thing I think
Not
is
during the
also
week,
the
though.
sewer,
It varies.
making sure that's
It varies.
Parking space
sound. So if it stops
for
functioning,
every
we
2
lose
hours.
revenue.
I think we just replaced the sewer service line at the end of the summer.
Good.
After it broke on July 3rd.
I was gonna say, sewer not working at Singing Beach is a revenue problem.
Well,
It's a staffing revenue,
it's not
town,
actually sewer,
PR.
it's septic.
It's a septic
Septic,
system.
right, yeah,
That's the
that's
problem.
The,
Water line.
but Olson Lewis is working on a design
Mhm.
for a new building,
Oh, good.
so.
Yay. Oh, good.
Not like a whole new building, but,
Maybe we
to
can bond
redo
it through
it.
CPC.
So I tried, I did apply.
Oh, boy.
I just had a quick question, the memo you sent around earlier, under fiscal year 25, there's a thing, non-resident parking, 1,549. Is that the number of cars that have parked?
Yes.
Okay, and then down below it says walk-ons, 850 or 851, is that how many people walk on the beach in the summer?
So,
I would have thought it would have been more,
That's
but,
well, it is, so,
oh, that's the early
I
bird.
know, and once Tony asked me about this, I should have changed it,
Oh, I see.
because knowing others would ask. So, in that box, under fiscal 25, but lined up with paid walk-on fees and season pass. So, the 17 through 20 is the daily $10 walk-ons.
Oh, okay,
The 1261 is the number of people who take
35.
$35, and then the 851 is the people who bought the $25 early bird.
so rough order numbers, we're looking at about 19,000 people.
Yeah.
It's good usage.
Yeah, that's good usage.
Right, and that's not, the season passes, obviously, you're coming back,
Right.
Oh.
Oh, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
I'm surprised at the low number of season passes.
Of the order ahead ones,
No.
of the walk, yeah. That has actually gone
Season
down.
passes based on the number of residents we have.
So anyone can buy a season pass. The only
Right.
people who can buy them, the early bird, are
Right, but
sort of residents, but
even if it were all residents.
it is a low number. When the price went up, the number of sales went down. So sometimes making something more doesn't always bring in more money.
Well, that's okay.
You have to go 4 times a year for it to pay off, maybe. I don't think I've, got my season pass.
Well, for the early bird, for the $25 one, you just have to go more than twice.
Right. So,
Or be old.
Or the old milk for free. You don't need a pass at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or young, right?
Do you feel like the beach is at capacity? I mean, on days when it's really, really sunny and the parking lot's filled up and people are getting on and off the train and your staffing level is where it is, are we in balance? Or could you have another 30% people on the beach and not worry about that? Or what's your feeling on that?
If I could pick the days, then I would love another 30%. However, the days that it's 80 degrees, sunny, in a weekend or a holiday, there's some days I don't think we could fit one more person on there. There's been some days that it's hard to even keep up taking people's money. One day that was a real surprise was Juneteenth holiday. It was the first sunny, hot day. We had staffed as like a Friday, not a weekend, because I'm not really sure how it caught on yet. It was so busy that the staff couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up collecting money. They couldn't keep up cleaning the bathrooms. People were now yelling at them. The person next to me didn't pay, and I paid. I should get my money back. And so finally, I was like, at 2 o'clock, I had to say, stop collecting money. If we can't do it consistently, safely, and do drops, they need to put the money away every hour or so. that we need to just stop collecting and worry about keeping the bathrooms clean and making sure things are safe for people. So on days like that, I say, no, please don't send one other person, not one more train. But, you know, a 70-degree day on, you know, a
It was even
typical
warmer,
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm like, let the buses come.
What's alarming is the number of days that Beach Street is a red line on Google Maps,
Yeah.
like, because it's stop and go, and it's just getting worse and worse.
Well, I have to say, what cracks me up about that is that people will complain about that traffic, and a lot of it's people spinning the beach.
Yeah,
They're not
I
even
know.
going to the beach.
It
And I'm
sure
like,
is. It's
you
the
are the
busiest
traffic.
dead end road in the.
I'm like, oh, you were at the beach that day? No, I didn't go, I was just spinning. You are the traffic.
Okay, anything more on singing beach and lifeguards? Do I have a motion to approve the singing beach and lifeguards total budget in the amount of $248,798?
So moved.
Second.
Gar moves, Lori seconds, any discussion? Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Tux Point and Crowell Chapel.
So again, we did look at the rates again this year, moved them up with a memo. Obviously, weekends are busier than weekdays, so figured we could charge a little bit more on weekends than we were. And again, the same thing, do you increase it a little each year or bigger chunk every other year? So we went up for 25 for residents and 50 for non-residents on weekends only, because we want to encourage weekday use. Not so much.
I have a general question, which is, are we keeping up with the maintenance on the building? I know that's a hard question because it's got lots of components to it, but it seems like a complicated building, and a few times I've been in it, and potentially very expensive to keep going. Do you have a general sense of that, or do I need to ask the DPW in terms of what?
Probably asking DPW, they are, they're very reactive when there's things there that I need to have done. As for proactive, it's, like you said, it's a very difficult building, you know. I think we're doing all right. You know, even when we did the last big rehab, there were things that we wanted to get done that we knew that would help in the long run, but didn't get done, like the big heavy windows and all of that. And I believe that really has something to do with the maintenance. If those big heavy windows are slamming down or they're coming up. So there's some things we can't really help, but I do think that overall they're doing a good job on the maintenance.
I think one of the things, Tony, we need to look at is whether we have painting schedules for some of these buildings, like the bathhouse and like Tux Point. You know, if we have a schedule that every certain number of years we have to paint it. Because I think that it's been hit or miss. It's like when they start looking really bad, isn't that
I agree.
accurate? Yeah.
Sometimes we paint and people don't even notice that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the roofing that was done on Tux is awesome, you know, and
Yeah.
that looks really, really good.
That does.
Say, as a person who looks at it regularly.
The Crowell Chapel rental is only like $26.80. It's like, is that worth even? Should we just put antifreeze in the pipes and mothball the thing for the winter? Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
Good
it
question.
costs
That's
more to heat it.
it's a constant, I wouldn't say battle, because I'm not battling anyone, but it's, what do we want as a town, the Crowell Chapel to be?
I mean, that can't be more than 10 uses, could it?
So we aim for 12 uses a year, we aim for one a month. And that was a kind of a soft agreement with the neighbors. Ironically, just said to the selectmen a few days ago, we have a church that would like to use it every Sunday morning. Good and bad, it is revenue that would be coming in, but that's a lot on the neighbors.
Who cares? We spent over $700,000 rehabbing it.
That's why it's going, that's why it's going to the select board, not the
Yeah, I
finance
mean-
committee, because financially, right.
So are the
Yeah.
neighbors,
Answer, but-
the neighbors are not happy with the traffic?
So the neighbors have not complained lately, so I'm not saying that, but when there are too many uses, that's when. So there was like is that,
Could you-
say a
could you
soft agreement for the once a month?
Why would there be a soft agreement?
Well, I would think you'd
It was
need to
before my
use the
time.
school parking lot for a church service, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is get in touch with the schools and that upper parking lot.
So that's on the list, so far, the group has come to the Park and Rec Committee, and then, once we figure it out, we'll send a recommendation. Also, I actually haven't sent it to you guys yet, because we're getting it together. And, part of that is that they would need to request from the school to use the back parking lot on Sunday mornings. They would need their own liability insurance and the town named additionally insured. What was the other things? They would do their own cleaning, because there would be no special cleaning, no special snow removal beyond what the town would normally do. So those were a few of the things we're trying to have them get together before they present to the select board.
Okay.
And just looking at the heating oil, I think the last couple of years is $12,000 in oil. I mean, I almost wonder if it's worth it to think about, I don't know if there's gas available there, but get somebody in to change the system over to gas.
There's certainly gas along School Street.
Yeah,
I lived on Upper School Street and I had gas.
I mean, if you look at this over
Didn't
10
assume
years,
that
that number is
gas.
probably approaching 90,000.
Is that a topic for the DPW? Is that what Maureen
This is
just
a facilities thing.
I do know that a heat pump was brought up once there. I don't know if we ever got a number, if it got that far to get an estimate or not. I know it was discussed with Nate and facilities.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Tux Point and Carl Chapel budget remind of $32,000?
So moved.
Andy moves, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jean seconds, any more discussion?
I think we should ask the town administrator to look at Crowell Chapel and just say, do we need to look at the heating costs? Are we underutilizing something that is, everybody agrees, a beautiful, beautiful place? And to expect the DPW to be proactive in addressing these things, or anybody else, it needs some sort of executive leadership applied to it. And not that you don't have something else to do, I'm sure you've
I put it on my
got a
list over
long
here.
list, but I, in the area of discussion prior to the vote, I'd like to just kind of suggest that a little bit.
I have it as, I had it as a note of something to discuss with like the cultural council. It's not really a revenue generating option, but at least the place is getting some use. They could probably come up with some good programming out of there, but.
So we did partner with the Cultural Council and the library last year and allowed them to hold their monthly distinguished speaker series there.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of really successful ones, but again, that was not revenue generating, but they did. And the COA does maybe 3 or 4, maybe 6 things there a year as well, and that's free, but at least it's a town service, you know.
What's the town building being used?
Right, so then it doesn't show up in the numbers, but it is more uses. And then the occasional weddings, online services.
Any more discussion? Take a vote, Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. And then Parks and Rec, okay.
I'll let Andrew explain this because there's kind of some things that just got thrown under mine.
Yes, I did. I added.
Movement from other budgets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to clump things together.
Yes, I spoke with Todd about an estimate of the fireworks year for the police department, and he estimated $24,300. So I added that to the 10,000, 4.7.
And that's overtime costs.
Yes.
So it's just moving overtime from the police budget to this.
That's why the overtime in the police went down. Oh, boy. There's lies, damn lies. and
How much do the
statistics.
fireworks cost us?
$40,000 for the actual fireworks, yeah.
It's 60-ish total.
For the parade and the fireworks, yeah, for the whole celebration.
Well, we ever thought of a less elaborate parade?
That's not what anyone else asks. Do you know it's the 250th anniversary of this country? We're bigger and better than ever.
The police you need, because you have to, close the roads. It's unavoidable.
Right, whether it's a big parade or small parade, the police cost is probably gonna be the same, unless we make it just go around the
for
block.
bands and stuff.
That's separate from here altogether.
Where does that show up?
So that's like another $20,000 to $30,000 that's raised from doing
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Private fundraising.
Which, thank you for asking, there is a 4th of July fundraiser coming up on March 7th.
Yes, there is.
March to the 4th. Get your tickets.
Okay. Any discussion on this Parks and Rec? Other? At least we got rid of the Freedom Flowers. That was a once and done thing.
Wait, are we?
Oh, yeah, we got rid of it
Oh,
years
right,
ago.
okay, yeah,
It was done just 1 year and
that's right.
we had it in the budget and it wasn't spent. Do I have a motion to approve the Parks and Rec other budget in the amount of $37,300?
I'm just,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have a question, Mayor.
let's take the motion and then we'll take the question. Do you have a second to?
Second.
Andy says, okay, go ahead, Peter.
Remind me, Memorial Day, why, okay. I'm sorry, I must have misread it. So Memorial Day for 3,000 is there, even though it's well short of what it really costs. That's, forget it, I'm all set. I misread the,
Memorial Day is less than it costs?
Well, honestly, it's not even anything to do with Parks and Rec, it's the Legion, but they don't get their own.
Okay.
Or is it DPW that plants the flowers, or
It's-
buys the
it's-
flowers and the Legion plants them, or?
Are those the
It's
little
a
poppies that give out
collaboration.
on the lapels?
Well, the flags.
Oh,
We get the flags in the
Oh, the
It's
flowers
plantings
on-
at the cemetery, isn't it?
Yeah,
For
it's
the,
a collaboration between DPW and the Legion,
That's
and
for the
this
rec-
kind of like helps anything that the Legion may need with the DPW.
thank you, I'm all set.
yeah,
Okay, yes, Garth.
No, I'm voting yes.
Yes, I'm voting yes too.
Andy,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Is that it?
That's it, I mean, unless
Do
you
you
want to
have
talk
any
about revenues, so I have just the bathhouse that's been on the list, and Sweeney Park that, we're working on plans for. That are in, the next couple of years, but not for this year.
Rotunda,
And then there's the rotunda.
yeah, that's Parks and Rec, DPW. And I think that something that, I saw an email from Jack today saying they're having a meeting next week.
Yes, the 5th, the 20th, the
And
11th.
Monday's the last day for an amended agenda, if we want to suggest that they allocate $270,000 in cash towards the rotunda.
I
It
I don't
seemed
know
to me we
why,
want to get it on the list.
I don't know what's, it's like, we have some more time. I know
Apparently
CBC
Jack
is very
doesn't feel
eager
it.
to get
Yeah.
it done, and that's great, I love that
Yeah,
he wants to make progress on it, but we still have some additional conversations, I think, that we wanted to have here.
okay.
I don't know, I haven't talked to Jack myself yet either,
I don't
but
want to lose the money. If it's something we can get, I mean, seems like we could put it on and then take it off it.
Not to go down that, not to go down that rabbit hole, but if we were, if we have a discussion again about how we're gonna handle the rotunda, he could hold on to it and use it for debt service if we borrow through CPC.
Sometimes he's on them.
He could do that, he could hold on to it and use that for debt service next year, if we wanted to go down that road, but.
Yeah, my only reaction is if he's cutting off applications, then it seems to me we might want to get one in for the 275 for the cash.
The deadline is December.
It can come off
There's a new deadline.
later if we were to make that decision. Just, I told him 2 weeks ago when we were discussing the rotunda again. And then he went ahead and scheduled this meeting in advance of our discussion.
So maybe we could see if the committee will approve or vote to approve the 273 contingent upon everything else, but at least it's a step.
275,
Well, he also wanted to know whether they were gonna vote on bonding through.
He didn't, the
CPC.
email he sent that I saw today did not mention the bonding. It was just, it said, do you want the 275 cash?
Quick question.
Yes, please.
I was just saying, I didn't get that email.
Yeah.
I mean,
You want a motion to request it?
well, it's not really our
not ours.
decision, but I think if our recommendation is yes, I mean, if we support it, I guess that's the question is.
What's the formal mechanism for getting a request to CPC?
Tony has to get it in by Monday.
Yeah.
There's a one-page
I told him
application.
I would go to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we weren't planning on going down having the larger discussion again about rotunda. The only reason why I've been hesitant about grabbing the cash now was that if we were to keep the CPC rate the way it is, not advocate for an increase, and borrow the cost of the rotunda through CPC, that cash could be used to pay, the first year of debt service instead of grabbing it now. Or we could grab it now and offset the amount that we have to borrow, either way. But I was hesitant to make a decision on that before talking with you all about.
What I've heard via the grapevine is that the majority of the CPC does not necessarily support bonding the rotunda through the CPC.
Well, we don't want it bonded, right?
Right, we don't
Right.
want it bonded.
So
Right.
my question more is about if they've got 200,000 or 270,000 this year,
They wanna give to us.
as part of this
Let's
year's
just do that.
CPC outlay, why can't we use that one time, totally separate of the whole bonding issue?
Yeah.
Just, and that's the question, is there a mechanism that needs to happen for that
Well, it
request
was
to
just
get in
a
front of
matter of-
CPC?
Just a matter of confusion at town meeting. If you're gonna bond through CPC for rotunda and grab cash,
I think that the finance committee is not in favor of bonding through CPC, and I've heard that CPC is not in favor of bonding through CPC.
I haven't heard that from CPC. And I think there's new
I
information.
have, yeah, I mean,
Didn't you guys discuss it in the CPC meeting?
yes, they were going either way, but their concern was if we bond it through CPC, that the whole program is hamstrung going forward because it's so much money to support the bond. We don't wanna
we've done
increase
it.
the rate because the 17% isn't enough of an incentive.
I agree.
Yeah,
New information since the last discussion. We were talking about, when we were dealing with the school budget and OPEB, reappropriating funds that were previously allocated and then lumping that into the borrowing amount, which added to the amount that we were borrowing, which created more of a hamstring.
But now we're
Those
just,
things have changed. We don't necessarily need to reappropriate as much
or any of it.
or any.
Yeah.
which is a lesser impact on CPC and a zero,
But
it's
we,
zero impact to your tax bill.
that's it, but it doesn't matter, Tony. If you don't spend it on the bonding for the rotunda, you're buying something else. So you can't say it's a zero impact on the tax bill. The cost of the rotunda is the cost of the rotunda, and the finance committee discussed it and didn't support bonding through CPC.
Right.
I mean, we can keep talking about it, but I don't think finance committee's gonna change their mind. And it
What
just
is the-
seems like we need to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's borrowing, 3 million or borrowing 2 million through CPC is a big difference. That's new information that wasn't wasn't part of the previous discussion.
It was something we discussed.
That wasn't.
Yes, we discussed the 2 million,
Well, we didn't
Discuss
know.
bonding in general,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but we didn't know we didn't know about the
But you weren't
updated
at our
school. Yeah, but the school numbers didn't come in yet.
Didn't matter. It's a philosophy of we didn't feel philosophically that the rotunda should be bonded through the CPC. It should be bonded through the town.
Right.
So that number one, you're not on the hook to retain that CPC 1.5% on the tax rate for 20 years. And that it's a town project that should be paid by the town, and CPC should be used for other things. That's,
Can I have
I mean,
Point of clarification that you're not required to keep 1.5%.
but you gotta keep
CPC.
0.75%,
You just have to keep enough to
right,
pay the
which
borrowing.
is half of their money.
Yeah.
Right.
So 0.75%, so you're required to keep that.
Right, but you'd have it
Yes.
on the tax bill anyway.
Which would kind of wipe out the reason why the program's there.
Right.
Have extra money to do.
And I
things
mean, one of
that-
Jack's arguments was, well,
But
we
there-
don't have other projects to spend money on. Well, if you don't have other projects to spend money on, get rid of the CPC tax.
But I mean, $400,000 after allocating money towards debt service is not a small amount of money for CPC to be able to accomplish projects.
Then drop the CPC to 0.75%. I mean, if you don't have the money, I mean,
I just, when we have all these major capital
Yeah.
items, right, that we're gonna be asking people to increase their tax rate for, and you have the opportunity to put rotunda through CPC, not adding, without adding an increase to your tax rate, I don't see why you wouldn't
that's
consider
not the
that.
point.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the people of this town had the rotunda all funded at the end of the town meeting last year, and that this year, if we want to, we should do it through operational cuts and live within our means. I mean,
I'm not going that,
I know that's a little extreme,
If I-
but
basically, like if we looked at the capital needs this year and imagine that they all got yes voted at the ballot and did an analysis of what that impact is to the tax bill.
My challenge, Tony, is that you and Jack are the only ones who want to bond the CPC through the rotunda through the CPC. And I think we've had a lot of discussions about this. And if you and Jack are the only ones pushing it, we need to move on.
To me, I'm just trying to come up with a way to minimize the tax bill impact to the residents.
I'm not concerned about going on town meeting for debt exclusions for capital projects that need to be done. We've been laying the groundwork for that for years. We've been saying we have capital projects. We've been saying we gave you no
That's
increase
good. I
with
just don't.
COVID. We had 3 years of very low tax increases. And we kept saying, there's going to be capital projects in the future.
And that's great. I don't think it's fair to say it's just me and Jack who want to do that. I think if you look, I think I'm just looking at the possible ways to fund it, and I'm seeing one that's worth consideration, especially given the new information about not having to reappropriate that previous amount and the lesser impact of hamstring it does to CPC.
We were only talking about reappropriating that amount if it was paid by the town. We weren't talking about reappropriating that amount if it was paid by CPC.
Well,
We
the
never
analysis
talked
we were
about-
doing was,
We never talked
3
about
million.
bonding the 3 million through CPC. We were talking
Could I
the 2
maybe
million.
make a suggestion here? It's approaching 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think we're circling here a little bit.
Yeah.
The question is, if there is a deadline for CPC to get a request in for a one-time payment to help with the rotunda, and there's something mechanical that has to be done, should we get that done so we don't lose an opportunity for discussion? And put this off to another time, maybe, but I know we're about halfway down the agenda, but the agenda has a lot of quick items, I think, on it, but
It might be as easy
I
as
agree.
pushing the
I mean-
DPW project and under the rotunda until we can.
Yeah.
It's down the line.
minutes next week.
So the deadline is Monday. If you're going to ask.
Yes.
the deadline, the deadline for an application was December.
It's December, yeah.
So the Monday
It's
thing is a
soft
Jack,
deadline.
is something that I think Jack is just seeking for,
The next meeting.
he wants some guidance, some direction, so.
What he said is we're scheduling a Zoom meeting for next Wednesday, 12/2/11 at 5:30 for the purpose of finalizing our motion language for town meeting. If you want us to discuss anything relating to the rotunda funding, let me know, and I can amend the agenda as late as Monday afternoon. We have 275,000 of funds available that have not been allocated to other needs. If we are asked to support a future bond, we do not have to set aside any funds this year. So the 275 cash is available irrespective of the bond.
Yes, I told him to put it on, I said, doesn't hurt to put it on the agenda, put it on, and I'll be at the meeting.
It doesn't
I-
hurt to put it on there, because if we decide later that we don't want to use that money, we just go to town meeting and say, we'll pass over that.
Right.
Do we need an actual application for CPC?
No, I mean, we submitted an application for
Oh, you-
the borrowing, I think, and then so it would just be amending that to the,
I would think an application would be appropriate.
I think it's amending
Yeah,
the
what is
existing
one in?
one.
I had a question, so if the town bonds it.
Yeah.
Then the town is on the hook for 10 years or 20 years. If Jack decides, I would like to give you some money, can that be used to pay down that payment, or can it be used to pay, like, prepaying a mortgage? They can pay off the back end.
Andrea said that once the bond's issued, they can't pay it off.
I was wondering if they can pay off the back end, like prepaying a mortgage. In other words, the town is always gonna be on the hook for 200,000, but they could give you 200,000 this year or next year or the year after, and it just pays that loan down early.
They could give us the 275 now to
I
reduce the
understand, it's a
project cost,
one-shot
right?
deal.
Yeah, but we can't, if like the town goes out to borrow, we can't use
Then
CPC funds to.
that's hitting our budget every year.
You have to be creative, like, you can use the CPC to fund things like operating stuff like trash barrels and signs, whereas, and then use that money to pay for the,
To pay off the debt.
right, so you can
Fungible.
switch,
Yeah.
like creative accounting,
No, it's just.
But it has to flow through them.
right.
They can't write a check to the town of Manchester.
No.
So where have we gotten to, ladies and gentlemen?
That was kind of another piece of it too, and I think when you discussed it, there was the thought process that CPC could contribute this year cash and next year cash. And then we learned after that meeting that that wasn't the case, they could
Well, only
only
if we-
contribute cash this year,
Only if we bond it
if the
So
town
it-
bonds. it.
by June 30th of 27. If we bond it July of 27, then
We can.
we would have more money.
How long do you wanna wait?
It has to do with the timing of the project and the expenses.
Right.
So if we were to spend, and we're doing the whole Rotunda project in FY '27, we'd have to borrow for it. Like, there's no like expenses that I can offset from
But we
CPC
don't
the
even know
following
if they're
year.
gonna complete it in 27.
Nate says that they will be completing it in 27,
I'll say.
or at least the majority of it.
Yeah, but if it's a majority, then we don't have to bond it, right, until it's complete?
Right, but I can't, like, even if I band it to like, you know, cover our deficit at year end and the following year, I mean, I could probably appropriate from CPC for the expenses for that fiscal year, but I can't say, hey, CPC, can you pay down the band that was for this rotunda project? Because it's not related to any CPC borrowing.
But they could pay cash before you do the long-term borrowing, to reduce the amount of long-term borrowing.
Not necessarily.
Okay. So it's 9:45.
I'm looking at your agenda.
Yes, thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. Appreciate your taking all our questions.
Do
Sorry
you
to-
want to defer these other budgets till next week?
Good idea.
Veterans
I
benefits?
move that we
How-
do. It's
Okay.
How big is the veterans
Quarter-
benefit?
quarter
Is it
of
one page or is it, should we just push it off?
I think we should just push it
Push it
off,
off.
because last time we did the non-appropriated, and we thought that would be a slam dunk, and it
Right.
wasn't.
It wasn't.
I have no changes to the veterans though.
What?
I have no changes to the veterans though.
The meeting is where we got to with this, the 275. Is that
That's-
being deferred?
a request
that
is
being
gonna be
requested?
A request is gonna be made, right?
Okay,
The
good.
request is gonna
I
be
think
made
that
to-
sounds perfect. When we defer the others and adjourn,
Okay,
like a motion to adjourn?
Do we have to
I
approve
move that we
minutes or we're
adjourn.
all right?
You want, your call. We can do it if it's quick, yeah.
Do you approve the minutes? Do you want to?
there were some changes to the minutes,
You're right,
All
there
right.
were, exactly.
Should we defer?
okay? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You have that.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a
Okay.
vote?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.